Hi, welcome to my channel. The full version of the audiobook is available on my Patreon. You can quickly find it through the link in my profile description. Thank you for your support.
Chapter 1, Rebirth. August 6, 2017. Parallel Worlds. England. Carlton Training Base. Ha. Chu Feng rubbed his tired eyes and yawned. Damn, leading 2-0 at the start, and yet Copenhagen managed to turn the game around. Truly worthy of being Ten Hag. Wrong. Chu Feng suddenly widened his eyes, looking around in disbelief. The cramped room, the familiar posters. Chu Feng walked quickly toward the mirror. His dark pupils reflected the young boy's immature face. Could it be that I went to bed too late last night? Or have I traveled back 10 years, to when I was part of Manchester United's youth team? This is completely unscientific. Chu Feng woke up as if from a dream. He quickly grabbed his phone from the table, but then stopped suddenly. Shouldn't they still be sleeping at this time? Chu Feng sat on the bed, lost in thought. In his past life, his family sold everything they had to pay for his expenses so he could play football abroad. He lived up to their expectations. It was this year that Chu Feng, through his own efforts, secured a professional contract with Manchester United's first team. But fate's whims are beyond our control. Just as a sports event was about to begin, Chu Feng was suddenly called for duty. He had previously been part of the national Olympic team and the national youth team as well. However, due to his inability to get along with his teammates, he got into intense conflicts, almost ending up in the hospital. As a result, he was put on a blacklist. Who knew that the imperial court would suddenly summon him back to the country? After returning, everything went back to normal. He led the team through various challenges until they reached the semi-finals. The head coach subtly hinted to them to let the opponent win, allowing the other team to secure a narrow victory. Chu Feng is very stubborn. He doesn't want to play dirty. But unfortunately, his teammates succumbed to pressure, leaving him to fight alone. As the game neared its end, Chu Feng passed the ball to 5 players along the flank, then took a long-range shot from outside the penalty area, scoring a stunning goal that tied the match. Although we still lost the game in the end. Training in 2 days. Chu Feng's collateral ligament was accidentally torn by his teammate. Not only was the entire season ruined, but there were also serious long-term consequences. But the person in charge at that time might have chosen to keep things quiet in order to maintain overall stability, or perhaps they were involved in the matter themselves. To not jeopardize my own future. So they went to Chu Feng privately, trying to coerce and tempt him with rewards. Under the influence of those in power, the media reported, Manchester United's young player suffers ligament rupture due to overtraining. Years later, the deeds of Li Tai and others were exposed. Chu Feng finally realized it. Back then, he completely outclassed his opponents, causing Li Shi and the leadership to suffer huge losses. Chu Feng couldn't help but fall into despair. So you all see football as a means to make money and get promoted? Your future will be comfortable. What about mine? Hee hee. No one will care. This unjust injury not only cost Chu Feng his much-desired professional contract, but also widened the gap between him and his teammates. His former roommates Rashford and McTominay have both made the starting lineup, yet he still hasn't received a single contract offer. Now that he has a chance to do things over again, he certainly won't make the same choices. Whoever wants to go to that damn training camp, go ahead. Anyway, even if things go south, he definitely won't return to the national team. As for changing citizenship, that's even less likely. Although the Football Association is disgusting, it has nothing to do with the country. During his years in Manchester, he was often visited by enthusiastic fans who brought him special treats from their hometowns. No matter what happens, I must not let those people down. If Chinese football isn't strong enough, then change one's nationality and play for another country. Although they claim to be fighting for greater glory and dedicating themselves to football. But isn't that no different from being a traitor? In the World Cup, if it's not there, then it's simply not there. As long as he performs well enough in the club, his future looks promising. He wants to prove through facts that the Chinese can also play football well and earn a place in the world of football. But if they're of Chinese descent, it's understandable if they don't choose huaxiao. After all, no one wants to get involved in complicated situations. In his past life, Chu Feng had read similar novels before. Besides, if not for utter disappointment in the national team, who would choose another country? The green field system is now active. Scanning host information. Filtering compatible templates. A cold mechanical sound rang out. Chu Feng was startled, but quickly regained his composure. He wasn't the naive young man he used to be. System. Haven't eaten pork, but have seen pigs running around. During those difficult times when he felt hurt and depressed, Chu Feng spent his days and nights reading football novels, seeking comfort in their warm words. Could it be that I've become the chosen one? As a flash of white light appeared, a hollow, translucent panel materialized in the air. Name, Chu Feng. Age, 17. Attributes. Template, none. Module, none. Template filtering completed. Gigs as Welsh Wizard template. See Ronaldo's Golden Edge template. Henry Hebrew Express template. Rivaldinho's Blade template. Ronaldinho's Football Elf template. Ronaldo's Alien template. A familiar face appeared on the system interface. Chu Feng analyzed the situation calmly. Which template is the strongest among them? Actually, there's no need to compare. The one that's most suitable is simply the best. Chu Feng looked at himself in the mirror. He was about 185 centimeters tall and weighed 78 kilograms. If we match them based on body type and muscle mass, each of these templates seems quite good. Drawing in progress. Congratulations on obtaining Ronaldo Alien template. Chu Feng wore a look of disbelief. Can even non-Africans have their lucky day? Ronaldo template. 19-year-old World Footballer of the Year, 20-year-old Ballon d'Or winner. They reached their peak right from the start, and no one has surpassed them since then. 2 World Cup titles and 1 Asian Cup title. 3 times World Footballer of the Year, once MVP, and once Golden Boot winner. Anyone who's watched him play football can't help but admire him. But my position is left winger. Isn't Ronaldo's template a bit inappropriate? But then he thought again, when De Luo first started his career, since his physical build wasn't fully developed yet, he moved around quickly and played as a winger. Moreover, with his exceptional technical skills, he can truly serve as a versatile player on the field. He's practically perfect when it comes to heading the ball. Can break through, can shoot, can pass the ball. Has speed, physical strength, and skill. Besides, even if there's a template, it doesn't mean he has to play exactly according to that template 100% of the time. Because a template is just a tool. If one is overly influenced by it, the focus will be reversed, and one will become like a puppet controlled by strings. He could certainly design a more fulfilling professional path for himself, in line with the trends in modern football. After being reborn, every step must be taken carefully. Just as Chu Feng was about to go downstairs to train, countless fragments of memories flooded his mind. Then, he fell into a drowsy sleep. The next day, Chu Feng jumped up from the bed and frantically looked around. After a while, he finally focused and opened the system panel. On it, the words were clearly displayed. Ronaldo's Alien template. Then, Chu Feng curiously opened the attribute details. Dribbling, 79, 97. Passing, 68, 86. Shots, 69, 95%. Speed, 74, 94. Body, 67, 92. Defense, 35, 51. Detailed explanation, the values in parentheses represent the upper limits that the host can achieve through training. Additionally, it's possible to. Chu Feng rubbed his temples and studied it carefully. Each value contains multiple dimensions. For example, shooting includes long shots, curved shots, free kicks, headers, etc. These are all comprehensive metrics. Chapter 2, Mourinho's Sorrows. The true purpose of the template is to raise the natural ceiling of one's abilities, allowing them to improve their skills rapidly through training. As for the idea of completely transforming oneself with a single bayou and then acquiring all kinds of skills effortlessly, it's better to give up on such wishful thinking. But Chu Feng was already satisfied. One shouldn't be too greedy. After all, who knows how many people have sacrificed everything they had, only to find that they're unable to start over anyway. I wonder if it's possible to keep breaking through once the attributes reach their limit. Better not think too much. Just focus on what needs to be done now, and try to make it to the first team before the season starts. Chu Feng silently set a goal for himself. He believes that with his own efforts and the right support system, he'll definitely be able to establish himself at Manchester United before seeking further opportunities for growth. Actually, United isn't weak at all, making it an excellent starting point for a career. In Mourinho's second year in charge, the team still had top players like Ibrahimović, Pogba, and Lukaku. Moreover, last season, Manchester United had as many as 7 players injured, which was essentially like having half a team missing. But in such difficult circumstances, Mourinho led the team to win 3 trophies, the UEFA Europa League, the Community Shield, and the EFL Cup. Enough to reflect the coach's level. Today's Manchester United is competitive enough in every aspect, and even has the potential to compete for dominance in Europe. Dong dong dong. There was a sudden, rapid knocking at the door. "Scott, what's wrong?" Chu Feng pushed the door open and saw a familiar face. He asked in confusion. The two were roommates before and also teammates on Manchester United's U18 team. "Chu, why aren't you worried at all? Today, the head coach is coming to watch the youth team's training," McTominay said anxiously. When he was on the youth team, he was often bullied by his peers because of his late physical development. At that time, only Chu Feng was willing to stand up and help him. But last year, he grew from 170 centimeters to 190 centimeters. Since then, no one dares to bully him anymore. Don't rush, don't rush." Chu Feng flashed a bright smile and punched McTominay. Then he added, "Let's go. I've already packed my things." McTominay hadn't even had time to react before he was pulled out of the dormitory. Before I knew it, I found myself at the training ground. Chu Feng looked at the comics of famous athletes on the walls on both sides. Bart, Best, Giggs. And there are also active players who've been added, such as Pogba, Rashford. "Ah, when will I ever be painted on a wall?" McTominay said with envy. "See, you're getting impatient again. There's a saying in my hometown, you eat food bite by bite, and you walk along the road step by step. I believe you'll eventually become one of them too." Chu Feng patted him on the shoulder, his tone full of confidence. "Oh, then thank you." McTominay glanced at his good friend with a strange expression. He felt that something was off about him, but couldn't put his finger on it. "Forget it, I really don't want to think about it. It's too complicated." The two of them walked into the training ground together. They saw Mourinho standing by the side, with his arms crossed. After exchanging a glance, they immediately sped up and ran towards him. The madman doesn't tolerate late-coming players. Training starts at 10 a.m., and there's no room for even a single minute of delay. Because he believes this to be the most basic requirement for football players training discipline and professionalism. Mourinho glanced over with a cold expression, glanced at his watch, and nodded imperceptibly. Chu Feng and the other person immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Since Mourinho took charge of Manchester United last season, he has arranged specialized training and video analysis sessions for young players, with the aim of helping them gradually get used to the training methods used by the first team. At the same time, I will personally assess the players' training progress during the off-match days this week. In short, more emphasis will be placed on youth development. He also reaped the benefits of this. The outstanding performances of Tuanzebe and McTominay in the youth team gave him more options when injuries struck. But recently, another problem has arisen for him. Everything's ready, just need a winger. Manchester United's current players. Martial has the necessary ability, but his performance is inconsistent. Although Lingard is very hard-working, he can only shine occasionally. Mata is only good at playing inside the middle of the field, but lacks speed and dribbling skills. Ashley Young has become a glass man, constantly injured and unable to play. Mourinho is worried and is thinking about suitable candidates on the transfer market. Lamar of Monaco, Sanchez of Arsenal, Mahrez of Leicester City. The morning training was quite simple. Start with basic exercises like warm-ups, short passes, long passes, and shooting. Bang! Chu Feng shoots the ball with great force. The football flew like a cannonball, straight toward the left side of the goal. Manchester United U21 goalkeeper Dean reacted quickly, leaping forward in an instant. But football has too much power behind it, it hit his arm and went into the goal. Mourinho slightly raised his head and carefully observed the young boy who was training diligently. Interesting. As one of the top coaches in football, he's able to assess a player's actual abilities by paying attention to various details. Just now, he noticed that Chu Feng's shooting technique was very precise. He used his thighs to drive his calves, allowing the force to be transmitted to the football in the most efficient manner possible. He had previously learned about Chu Feng, Manchester United U21's main left winger. He intended to promote him to the first team this year. But what Manchester United lacks now is immediate combat effectiveness. There isn't enough time for him to develop slowly. Soon, the basic training was over. Under the guidance of the assistant coaches, the players were divided into Team A, who wore red vests, and Team B, who wore white vests. Although it's just an internal training match, no one will slack off. Instead, everyone will give their best to perform at their best level. According to statistics, only 0.1% of young players in the youth training programs of the 5 major leagues actually make it to the professional level. Cold numbers reflect the cruelty of football, everyone wants to make it to the first team. It's very simple. Fight for it with your strength. This narrow path to success is one that only the victors are qualified to walk upon. Once the team training matches begin, Team A quickly penetrated through the center. At just 17 years old, Gomez carried the ball forward, shifting his weight repeatedly as he got past the defensive players trying to steal the ball from him. He's Nani's cousin and a talented player at Manchester United. Team B's midfield was as fragile as paper, easily broken through. McTominay moved in close, trying to take advantage of his strengths to disrupt the opponent's play and help his teammates make steals. But the latter was clever and passed the ball long in advance. The football flew precisely towards the right flank. Mitchell neatly received the ball, worked closely with Halep in the middle of the field, and then passed the ball across to the striker. Centre forward Dean took position first and scored with a header. After scoring the goal, the players on Team A high-fived each other in celebration, while nervously looking toward the sidelines. But when they saw that Mourinho remained completely unperturbed, they all sighed in unison. Still, they failed to impress the head coach. Later, you'll receive the ball in the middle of the field. I'll move to the flanks to create space. When you get a chance, pass the ball to me. Chu Feng pointed to the side and spoke softly. No problem. McTominay scratched his head. Chapter 3, Eat more if it's tasty. The game has restarted. As soon as Team B took the ball, they were immediately subjected to fierce pressure from Team A. McTominay catches the ball. Although he's tall and physically large, he's not slow in his movements. He also has a good ability to handle the ball and isn't afraid to take risks with his moves. The sudden spike caught Gomez off guard, so he quickly passed the ball to the left flank. Chu Feng quickly turned around and noticed that the defensive player was charging towards him. He skillfully moved his heels to avoid the attack. Snap! The football slid in a beautiful curved path, passing by from the side. The timing and positioning are handled very skillfully. Mourinho muttered to himself, then fixed his gaze on the young boy. Chu Feng turned halfway while dribbling, completing the move in one smooth motion. Every touch of the ball was precise, while he also kept an eye on his teammates' positions out of the corner of his eye. Mitchell's defensive recovery is very fast. He's a key left-back for the England youth team. Not only does he possess excellent physical qualities, but he's also very good at making steals. If everything goes well, he'll be promoted to Manchester United's first team next year. As the distance between the two of them grew closer and closer, everyone in the room turned their gaze toward him. Chu Feng didn't hesitate any longer. With a flash, he tried to break through from the outside. Mitchell decisively stepped in to steal the ball. But just at this moment, Chu Feng raised his right foot, made a quick pass, and accelerated along the inside line. Team A's center back, Tuanzebe, rushed forward to help with the defense. But it's too late. Chu Feng slightly adjusted his posture. Draw the bow and aim the arrow. Bang! As the explosive booms rang out. Football is like a cannonball being fired from a gun. Manchester United's youth team goalkeeper, Kilron, leaped high, stretching his body to the limit. But the football flew at such an awkward angle that it grazed his fingertips before going into the net. The training ground suddenly fell silent. It was obvious to everyone just how outstanding Chu Feng's performance was. His skills far exceeded those of a member of the youth team. Chu, you're absolutely gorgeous. When did you learn that move? Why haven't I seen it before? You're not hiding anything from your best friend, are you? McTominay talked non-stop, excitedly. It's mainly because you passed the ball well. Chu Feng said with a smile. When he touched the ball just now, he felt something different from before. Is it simply the effect of an increased upper limit on innate abilities? It has nothing to do with me. That idiot Mitchell deserved to be cleaned out by you. How satisfying. McTominay scratched his head and said loudly. Not far away. Upon hearing this, Mitchell's expression immediately turned gloomy. He used to enjoy bullying the thin McTominay along with his teammates. Later, he got into a fight with Chu Feng over this matter. Who knew that Chu Feng would act so recklessly, targeting him alone for beating up? In the end, neither of them was able to attend training for a whole week. After learning what had happened, Sir Ferguson severely reprimanded them, warning them to resolve any issues on the field from now on. But in the past, whenever the two faced off, one would win and the other lose. No one could claim to have a clear advantage over the other. What just happened? Because Chu Feng's actions made it difficult to predict his intentions, he was easily defeated. The more Mitchell thought about it, the angrier he became. He spat angrily, determined to regain his dignity. The game continues. Under McTominay's guidance, Team B gradually shifted their focus of attack to the left flank. 30-meter area. Chu Feng received a pass from his teammate. Milche still wouldn't believe it and rushed at him fiercely. He gave the other party very little time to react. Surely can steal the ball. Chu Feng remained calm, pushing his right foot forward gently. Snap! The football moved like a nimble fish, slipping through Mitchell's legs. Decisive and efficient. Casual and effortless. Milch's expression changed abruptly. His mind instinctively stopped processing commands, but his body continued to act on them anyway. The ultimate ridiculous fall. Chu Feng continued to dash forward with the ball. Same script. Tuanzebe reacted quickly, moving closely to help with defense and blocking most of the shooting areas. But Chu Feng chose to attack the middle lane instead. The football rolls swiftly across the grass. McTominay cut inside, pushing the defender aside. Lunge and shoot angrily. Bang! The football headed straight for the upper right corner. Keelong's gate was breached once again. He got up and angrily reprimanded his teammates. Milche was completely confused. The first time was luck. Is it still luck the second time? By the side of the court. Let's pay special attention to Chu. Is there an EFL League 2 match the day after tomorrow? Mourinho turned his head to the side and asked. I'll take care of it. Boss, you seem quite interested in that kid. Assistant coach Faria nodded. He met Mourinho in Barcelona in 2001. They've been friends for 16 years now, so they truly know each other very well. Nonsense, you're not interested. The team is currently short of players who are good at breaking through defenses. And if you take a closer look, isn't Chu's playing style quite familiar to you? Mourinho said that in an annoyed tone. Boss, you know that I worked as a fitness coach at Barcelona in 1996. Who was my favorite player back then? Faria chuckled. Ronaldo, back then, you felt both love and hate for him. You even created a training plan specifically for him. But he didn't appreciate it at all. As Mourinho recalled the past, the coldness on his face gradually faded away. Ahem. I think this kid resembles Ronaldo quite a bit. Could we be onto something here? Faria's expression seemed a bit embarrassed. It's too early to talk about these things now. Tomorrow, record his data. I also need to lead the team to North America for the International Champions Cup. After saying that, Mourinho turned around and left. Since football is a contact sport, there's limited information that can be gained during training. Whether a player can perform well in actual matches remains uncertain. The morning training ended quickly. Chu, is there something you're hiding from me? Otherwise, why would you act like you're crossing Mitchell Street in the early morning? McTominay's voice was so loud that it seemed like he wanted the whole world to hear it. Stop talking nonsense and let's go eat quickly. Chu Feng put his arm around the man's shoulders and pulled him over. On the green field. Mitchell's face turned pale, and he couldn't help but question the meaning of life. Has he really become bland/unsatisfying in bed? After all, it's not easy to make a proud person accept the fact that their arch-rival is better than them. Ugh, today's wild mushroom and chicken skewers were really delicious. I heard there'll be sweet-flavored chicken braised with flowers tomorrow. McTominay kept stuffing food into his mouth. He's in a stage of rapid growth. According to the nutritionist's recommendations, he needs to consume a large amount of energy every day. If it tastes good, eat more. You might not get to eat it again in the future. Chu Feng said with a smile. How could that be? We'll definitely make it to the first team this season. Then we can eat whatever we want. McTominay is full of confidence. Chu Feng remained silent. If things continue as before, once Manchester United fully enters the Tenga era, it seems that these players, who are part of the club's traditional foundation, won't be favored anymore. Who knows, maybe one day eating at the table will be prohibited. Then, I'll have no choice but to ask my teammates to pack the food for me to take home. However, after being reborn, it will likely have a huge impact on the future. Chapter 4, Opportunities. They quickly finished eating what was in front of them, then got up and headed outside. There, they ran into an acquaintance. Chu, it's been so long. I've missed you so much. Rashford gave a warm hug. The two had been roommates for 3 years, so their relationship was naturally very close. I watched the friendly game the day before yesterday. You did great. Did you secretly train extra without telling me? Chu Feng's eyebrows twitched. How is that possible? I'm just a naive teenager, not Scott at all. Rashford curled his lips, pretending to be dissatisfied. TCH, you're so naive. Last week, I saw you and Mary sneaking out together. I have no idea what you were up to. Before McTominay could finish speaking, Rashford forcefully covered his mouth. Mary? Tom's daughter from the shop at the entrance. Do you know what relationship he has with the Duke? By the way, I remember Mary is only 18 years old. You beast. Chu Feng showed a disgusted expression. He never expected that, although Rashford seemed honest and straightforward on the surface, he was actually quite flirtatious behind the scenes. While the three of them were joking around, a large group of people came in. Chu Feng instinctively looked up. Ibrahimović, Pogba, Lingard, Lukaku, Rojo. It must be said that Manchester United has a truly impressive squad these days. They have players worth hundreds of millions, as well as a Swedish goalkeeper who brings a great playing style to the team. Ibra nodded gently as a greeting. He's very kind to the young players. He often shares his own playing experiences, such as how to position oneself on the field and how to shoot the ball. Moreover, due to Ibra's passionate and domineering personality, most of the young players regard him as a role model and goal to strive for, using him as motivation to improve themselves. People passed by each other. McTominay showed an envious expression and said with emotion, "Ah, when will I be able to become a player like Zlatan?" Tisk, so impatient again. You're only 21 years old. Why do you speak like an old man, always sighing and complaining? Have confidence in yourself. I've always thought you're the best. Chu Feng gave his friend's shoulder a firm pat, starting to pump him up. McTominay clenched his fists tightly. The bullying he experienced as a child made him constantly doubt his own abilities. After returning to the dormitory, Chu Feng took a bath, washed off the sticky sweat, and quickly fell asleep. In addition to training, the youth team also has to take academic classes every day. The closest training facility to the base is St. Bede's College. The tuition fee for each academic year is £12,000. Although the club will cover part of the cost, it's still too much for Chu Feng, who comes from a poor family. So he chose Barrow RC High School, which is 10 kilometers away. Originally, Chu Feng focused all his attention on football and hardly ever studied seriously. In the end, he didn't even manage to obtain the British secondary school certificate. But now he knows very well that learning is essential. It not only helps improve one's tactical understanding, but also serves as a safeguard for the future. 2 o'clock. Chu Feng pulled the groggy McTominay to his feet and they set off for Site 9. Many young players chose to train extra in the afternoon. After all, most people in the world aren't geniuses. They need to put in hard work and sweat to close the gap. Time flew by during the training. Chu Feng wiped the sweat from his forehead and focused on bringing up the system panel. Dribbling, 79.04, 97. Passing, 68.12, 83. Shooting, 69.06, 95. Although the change in numbers is minimal, it still makes people feel excited. Why? Because people become very motivated when faced with a progress bar that shows growth. Chu Feng wished there were 48 hours in a day. However, he understood that scientific training was equally important. Otherwise, overtraining could likely lead to injuries. Chu Feng looked up at the sky, dyed red by the sunset, and smiled brightly. He's full of expectations for the future. After dinner, Chu Feng pedaled his used mountain bike excitedly. In less than half an hour, he arrived at Barlow RC High School. In the UK's GCSE curriculum, students typically spend 2 years studying 8 to 11 subjects. They can choose both compulsory and elective subjects. Chu Feng chose these courses according to the school's requirements. He also minored in Spanish. Because he thinks he might end up playing in La Liga in the future, learning the language in advance will help him integrate into the team more quickly. Chu Feng greeted a few friends and headed straight for the corner of the classroom, where the usual seating for sports students was located. Let's talk about. 3 hours later. Chu Feng rubbed his sore temples. He didn't feel very tired at all, instead, his resolve grew even stronger. Because he's been tempered by society. The next day, Manchester United sets off for the International Champions Cup. Countless Red Devils fans are eager to defeat Barcelona and get off to a winning start to the season. On the green field. As training came to an end, assistant coach Faria gathered the players around with the tactical board in hand. Everyone understands. The best part is coming now. First round of the English Premier League B. Manchester United U21 vs West Ham United U21. Don't let the poor performance of Iron Hammer Gang's first team fool you. But their youth training programs have produced many famous players, like Ferdinand, Carrick, Lampard, and Mascherano, among others. The recently much talked about West Ham United defender Rice not only boasts excellent defensive skills and interception abilities, but also possesses the capability to drive forward with the ball, helping the team break out of stalemates. Moreover, he was just named the best player in the Premier League B League last season. It's been confirmed that he will be promoted to the first team once this season begins. Since winning 2 championships in a row 4 years ago, Manchester United's youth team has seen its performance decline steadily, eventually sinking to the middle to lower ranks of the league table. If Mourinho hadn't insisted on increasing investment in youth development, things would likely have gotten even worse in the future. The starting lineup is as follows: Kylian, Mitchell, McTominay, Gomez. As each name was called out, some people were happy, while others were sad. Finally, the left winger. Chu. Those whose names are called shouldn't get too happy. If you don't perform well, I'll replace you immediately. Faria had an expressionless face, and her voice was extremely cold. He learned this from Mourinho. He thought it was very impressive and would help keep the players in line. McTominay sighed in relief and winked at Chu Feng. Next, let's discuss tomorrow's tactical arrangements. Seeing the serious expressions on the players' faces, Faria nodded in satisfaction. First, it's necessary to maintain stability along the three lines of defense. After establishing a solid defensive structure, identify appropriate points for counterattacks. The main attacking direction shifts to the left flank, creating pressure on the opponent's defensive core. At the same time, it's possible to coordinate with the midfielders. Simply put, it's defensive counterattacking. But it has a very distinctive personal style. Whose? Of course, it's Mourinho. Most people consider his style of play to be rather conservative. But in reality, he's fundamentally a person who loves to attack. The purpose of defensive counterattacks is to deliver a decisive blow and maximize the efficiency of attacks. Chapter 5, The Pendulum of Death. 2 days later. Old Trafford Stadium is located 5 kilometers away from Old Trafford. Don't overthink it. Apart from important competitions like the FA Youth Cup, young players don't have permission to use Old Trafford. As the players of both teams stepped onto the green field, soft applause erupted from outside the fences. Since the Premier League hasn't started yet, and since there's no admission fee for youth team matches, around 800 fans who had nothing better to do came to watch the games. Among them were also the relatives and friends of the young players. However, the largest group was made up of those people of Han ethnicity, with yellow skin and black hair. Although Chu Feng is only part of the youth team, his outstanding performance and Manchester United's massive popularity mean he's quite popular in China as well. The kickoff time is set for 7 p.m. Huaxia. Tuya platform, sports category, a specific live streaming room. Today's EFL League 2 matches are being broadcast live on MUTV. Which match would you like to watch? Stop cursing, please. I'll find the Manchester United matches for you. The broadcaster tricked the viewers with a smile, before switching to the pre-prepared interface. Brothers, I heard that Chu Feng might get a contract with the first team this year. Is that true? I hope that's true. It seems like we don't have any players who currently play in the 5 major leagues. What's the point of even going up there? Isn't Dong Fengshua's example enough? Back then he ventured to England alone, carrying hopes with him. But in the end, it's different, right? Dong transferred there. His personality, emotional intelligence, language skills, cultural differences, and the lack of a professional team all played a role. Of course, the most important factor is that he lacks self-discipline. Chu Feng came through the youth training system, so he doesn't face many obstacles. I think he'll be able to succeed as a player. The game has started. Damn, how did McTominay grow even taller? Is anyone still betting gold beans? The market is about to close. Don't blame me for not warning you. West Ham United's youth team is very strong. They can easily beat Manchester United. Rice, that's a great interception. After being dropped by Chelsea's youth academy, this kid's skills have improved dramatically. I reckon once the Premier League season starts, he'll be promoted to the first team. Don't doubt it. Maybe you're watching the competition of the future billionaire mister right now. Reese passed the ball to a teammate who was waiting on the side. Then continue to move forward and get involved in the attacking play in the front court. His thinking is very clear. By using continuous passing and cutting moves, he breaks down the opponent's defense, thereby creating space for dangerous passes. Meanwhile, Manchester United players quickly retreated. Chu Feng was no exception either, retreating back near the midfield line. Because Mourinho has high expectations for attacking players to participate in defense, no matter how famous they are. This laid the groundwork for the later conflicts between Pogba and Mourinho. Reese has excellent organizational skills. Several quick passes in a row created a gap in the opponent's left flank. 30-meter area. Rice received another pass from his teammate and promptly took a shot. Snap. Football is like a sharp scalpel, precisely cutting through the gaps. West Ham United's young player Keena moved nimbly, slipping through the defensive gaps in Manchester United's youth team's back four. Nice pass. Do you know what Keena's nickname is? CS successor. Kinneran stops the ball and turns around. The movement was incredibly graceful. He stepped aside, then swung his right leg forward. Damn it, what kind of bad luck is this? How did the ball even hit the crossbar? Goalkeeper Kilong, still shaken, held the football in his arms when he suddenly heard a familiar voice. Without hesitation, he threw the ball over. Since the main attacking approach of West Ham United's youth team is from the left side, the overall formation also shifts to that side, resulting in weaker defense on the right side. Upon noticing this, Chu Feng immediately adjusted his position, preparing for a quick counterattack. Amidst scattered cheers, Manchester United's young players rushed wildly towards the opponent's half. If not attacked, then strike with a single blow to kill. Chu Feng carefully set down the ball, then immediately turned around and drove with it. He's very good at dribbling, but his speed is average. So, he passes the ball to the center of the field. Gomez didn't forget the coach's instructions. In coordination with McTominay ahead, he created another through ball when West Ham United's youth team left winger moved in to help defend. Manchester United's counterattacks are very smooth. Mourinho's tactics are very effective. They play in the most straightforward manner possible. By the side of the court, assistant Faria remained completely unperturbed. He remembered Mourinho's instructions. His gaze flickered slightly as he fixed his eyes on that figure. Can you bring surprises? West Ham United's youth team fullback Lewis didn't hesitate and rushed forward aggressively to make the save. He knows Asian players very well. With just a little bit of pressure, they become flustered and can't hold the ball properly. He even had a plan for what to do with the ball after making a steal. Working with Rice in the middle, continue to move forward and cut inside. As the two of them got closer and closer, the Chu wind has stirred. The figure moves rapidly from side to side. The rhythm and coherence are impeccable, like an unbeatable pendulum of death. Lewis's center of gravity shifted only slightly. Chu Feng immediately dribbled in the opposite direction. The football traces a beautiful arc, seemingly out of reach. Damn it! Pendulum-style dribble. Chu Feng continued to move forward. Near the baseline, make a decisive diagonal pass. Due to the West Ham United defender stepping forward, the space in front of the penalty area became exposed. Deanlay was left unmarked and easily pushed the ball into the net. At the old stadium, the simple stand suddenly erupted into a roar of noise. Live streaming room. The ball's right at my throat now, even my grandma could score with that shot. Manchester United actually took the lead. That's unbelievable. Your golden beans might be gone now. This pendulum is truly outstanding, perfect. Chu Feng's progress is visibly obvious. A truly delightful performance. There's nothing wrong with either the timing or the skills. Manchester United is in need of players who can create breakthroughs on the flanks. If Chu Feng continues to perform well, he'll definitely be able to make it to the first team. Don't worry, the future billionaire Rice hasn't shown his full potential yet. He'll catch up and even overtake us soon. After scoring the goal, Deanlay glanced at Chu Feng, somewhat surprisingly. The two of them have been working together for quite some time, so they're very familiar with each other's technical strengths and weaknesses. Although Chu Feng's dribbling skills are excellent, it seemed far too easy. Moreover, the way he touched the ball at that moment was simply perfect. But still, he happily exclaimed, "Well done. Chu, I'll move to the top of the penalty area later. Pass the ball to me if you get the chance." McTominay approached quietly, his tone full of anticipation. "Don't forget that your main task is to defend. If Mr. Faria sees that, he'll definitely scold you again." Chu Feng shook his head, reminding him. McTominay's expression turned into a smile. In Manchester United's youth team, each player's responsibilities are clearly defined. It's best not to overstep those boundaries out of selfishness. Moreover, Mourinho has said more than once that what he needs are players with strong execution skills and clear roles on the field. Chapter 6, The Young Eagle Spreads Its Wings. In fact, Chu Feng's previous dribbling style was a bit showy. After all, young people always like to show off to others and gain recognition from more people. But now he's starting to consciously get rid of this bad habit. In the future, the development of football will inevitably lean toward simplicity and efficiency. Offensive and defensive effectiveness will continue to improve, while players who are slow and overly reliant on holding the ball will be phased out. By the side of the court, Faria's expression was complicated. That incredibly powerful pendulum movement just now seemed to break through time itself, bringing back memories of his days in Barcelona. However, as a professional coach, he understood that compared to his breakthrough abilities, Chu Feng's attention to detail was what deserved more praise. Lack of ball control in the early stages didn't hinder counter-attacking efforts. The tactical movement and passing in the middle phase, along with the final triangular pass, all demonstrated excellent football intelligence. It seems like they've really found a treasure. The game resumes in the middle circle. Chu Feng didn't show any signs of arrogance. He continued to play defensively, earnestly fulfilling the tasks assigned to him by the coach before the game. Everyone has desires in their hearts. Having been reborn, his desire is to take a different path from before and create a brand new future. First, make it to the first team. West Ham United's young players grew more aggressive in their attacks. They had travelled all the way from London, and weren't willing to go back with a loss. Lewis looked furious. I was careless just now and didn't engage in physical combat in time, which allowed that Huaxia kid to launch a surprise attack. Next time, I swear it won't happen again. Whether intentionally or not, West Ham United's youth team focused their attacks on the right flank. In a confined area, multiple players form a passing and cutting unit, using the combination of attacks from the flanks and center to advance quickly. Chu Feng glanced at his teammates and decisively chose to retreat, ensuring that the overall formation remained intact. High emotional intelligence, creating a solid defensive chain. Low emotional intelligence, driving a bus. Faria knows Mourinho well and has adopted his minimalist 1-0 philosophy, emphasizing defense and focus during matches. Under this philosophy, once a team takes the lead, it will do everything possible to maintain that advantage, without focusing on attacking anymore. Everyone has a different opinion on this. Some believe it's the key to championship success, while others think it will destroy football. West Ham United's youth team quickly took control of most of the playing area. With the determination to equalize the score at all costs, they launched continuous attacks. But having the advantage doesn't mean scoring points. Although they hold an absolute advantage, they're unable to pose a real threat. Faria also made targeted adjustments, moving Chu Feng from the flanks to the center, where he worked together with Gomez to defend against Rice, thereby containing the key player of West Ham United's youth team. This is so boring. But when there's a gap in overall strength, playing a bus team strategy is indeed the best approach. It's just a bit frustrating for the spectators. Chu Feng's defensive skills are just average. However, his enthusiasm for running makes up for some of his shortcomings. To be honest, most national team players aren't as good as Chu Feng. In last month's World Cup Asian qualifiers, China managed only a 2-2 draw against Syria. But it's obvious that their thinking is rigid. On the field, they act like zombies. Their entire style of playing is stiff, with no sense of determination or effort at all. Alas, I don't know when we'll be able to make it back to the World Cup knockout stage again. The broadcaster kept talking non-stop. Due to the poor results and performance of the Chinese national team, fans are disheartened and no longer have any hope in the players currently playing. Instead, let's turn our attention to the young players. Otherwise, as a key winger for the Chu Feng Manchester United youth team, he wouldn't have attracted so much attention. As time passes by, the situation on the green field remains unchanged. With multiple defenders covering him, Rice couldn't even get a hold of the ball, let alone organize an attack. The West Ham United youth players grew increasingly impatient, starting to take long shots from the outside and pass balls across the field, hoping to take advantage of any mistakes by the opponents or luck to break the deadlock. Minute 43 of the match. West Ham United's youth team winger dodged Mitchell and sent a cross from near the goal line. However, due to the interference, the ball wasn't in good condition for shooting. Manchester United's youth team centre-back, Tuanzebe, managed to head the ball away first. Perfect counter-attack opportunity. McTominay isn't short on height at all. He uses his strength to push his hips backward, pushing the defensive players away from him. Then control the second landing point, and push the ball towards the right with your back to the ball. And Mitchell, who had just been passed, could take advantage of the situation to launch a counterattack. Amidst the cheers of hundreds of fans, Manchester United's young players rushed forward en masse, creating an unstoppable red tide. Mitchell was very fast and quickly crossed the midfield. He looked up to check the positions of his teammates. Centre Dinlay and right winger Harrop were tightly marked, leaving no viable passing options. Return. He thought it was better to be cautious. After all, there were countless examples of teams failing to counterattack and instead being counterattacked themselves. Moreover, if he lost possession of the ball too easily, he'd probably get scolded by the coach again. But he also didn't want to miss the perfect opportunity to increase the lead. Suddenly, he saw a familiar figure running frantically ahead of him. It was his old rival. The footage from the previous training matches flashed by in rapid succession. Mitchell didn't hesitate any longer. He kicked the soccer ball hard with the top of his foot. Bang! The football traces a beautiful arc as it moves through the air. Centre Dinlay jumped high, drawing the attention of most of the defensive players. Actually, the football flew over his head and landed at the edge of the penalty area. Chu Feng seized the opportunity and rushed forward like an arrow leaving the bow. Single blade. Gee, the pass was a bit too strong. West Ham United's youth team goalkeeper, Ederson, made a very decisive save. Who can touch the football first? Old Stadium. Hundreds of fans held their breath nervously, creating the same feeling as watching a Champions League final. The focal point of countless gazes. Chu Feng adjusted his posture, slowing down slightly. Ederson was overjoyed. He adopted the standard falling posture and rushed horizontally toward the football. At a critical moment, Chu Feng raised his right foot sharply upward, then leaped into the air with his entire body. Like a fledgling eagle spreading its wings to fly. Ederson's pupils constricted suddenly. But he had lost all control of the situation. All he could do was watch helplessly as Chu Feng flew over him, carrying the ball with him. A thought suddenly crossed his mind. Is this guy even a member of the youth team? Next, it's simple. Balance your body and push through the open space. As the football slowly rolled into the goal, hundreds of Manchester United fans cheered excitedly. Seeing their beloved young players perform so well filled them with joy and enthusiasm. Chu Feng's delicate face was filled with excitement as he waved his arms vigorously. Although it was just a goal in the English League B, it meant something special to him. Manchester United's young players gathered around to celebrate this wonderful goal together. Chu Feng turned around and shouted, "Your pass is great." Mitchell was extremely aloof. With a light snort, he turned around and went back to his seat. A sports live streaming room. Am I not seeing things? This ball pick and pass is simply stunning. The host acted as if he'd discovered a new continent, shouting loudly without caring about his image. Chapter 7, Special Treats. By the side of the court. Faria wrote various numbers on the tactical board, muttering to himself, his ability to pick up the ball and dribble past opponents is superior to that of most young players. What's really impressive is how calmly he handles the ball. As a veteran coach with decades of experience, he's able to assess a player's fundamental skills, ball sense, and overall game intelligence by paying attention to the details. Moreover, since Mitchell's passing strength was somewhat greater, he hadn't really hoped to score. But who would have thought that Chu Feng would come up with such an imaginative way of getting past his opponent with a pass? But based on his current performance, he isn't yet qualified to join the first team. Kid, how many more surprises can you bring me? Meanwhile, North America. International Champions Cup. Barcelona vs Manchester United. Just 3 minutes into the match, Manchester United created a great scoring opportunity. Rashford broke through on the right, delivering a low cross into the penalty area. Lukaku tried to head it from the left, but the ball went over the crossbar. From there on, Barcelona completely controlled the pace of the game. With Messi at the heart of the MSN trio, they frequently executed flawless passes, constantly posing threats in the attacking third. 12th minute of the match. Messi received a pass from a teammate in the middle of the field. He performed a stunning dance-like move, successfully getting past Pogba and Carrick one after another. Cut inside to the top of the penalty area, then took a decisive long-range shot. The football flew in a huge arc, hitting the right side post and bouncing back. De Gea broke out in a cold sweat and looked helplessly at his teammates. If the ball rotates slightly more inward, it will create a completely dead angle. Even if one could react in time, it would still be too late to catch the ball. Mourinho crossed his arms and had a cold expression on his face. He was extremely dissatisfied with the performance of Manchester United's players. Since winning the Champions League in the 2014-15 season, Barcelona's performance has declined steadily, and they haven't made it to the semi-finals since then. Today, the most powerful teams in football are Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, and Juventus. But if he really wants to bring Manchester United back to its former glory, how can he even think about competing in the Champions League, when he can't even defeat a weaker team like Barcelona? With the summer transfer window open, Mourinho hopes that Manchester United can sign Bale or Perisic, players with extensive experience who can enhance the team's pace and attacking capabilities on the flanks. But Manchester United has already spent €130 million on signing Matic and Lukaku. With their wallets empty, they can at most sign some minor players like Calami. Wild cheers erupted, and Mourinho glanced at the green field, frowning. Mkhitaryan breaks through on the flank. Alba got closer and squeezed hard. Musiala lost his balance, and Alba quickly intercepted the ball and passed it straight to Messi. The latter steadily took the ball down, shifted his shoulders and shook off Carrick, who was closing in on him, before delivering a precise through ball. Neymar moved around from the Valencia defense on the flank and scored with a shot from long range. 1-0. Barca scored the first goal. Mourinho sighed silently. During the 2015-16 season, Mkhitaryan posted incredible stats with Dortmund, 23 goals and 32 assists. Naturally, this caught the attention of many clubs. I'm no exception either. So last season, he spent €42 million to bring this talented Bundesliga winger back to Old Trafford. But unexpectedly, Mkhitaryan struggled to adapt to the English Premier League right from the start. As long as the opponent tried to engage in any kind of confrontation, he would become completely invisible, as if he didn't exist at all. Perhaps it's a common problem among Bundesliga players, their technical skills aren't particularly outstanding, and they suffer in terms of speed and strength. Another winger, Martial, can't provide consistent offensive threats on the flanks since he was originally a centre forward. In Mourinho's tactical system, efficient and quick counterattacks require not only Ibrahimovic's passing skills but also the speed of players on the flanks. The match ended with a score of 1-0, with Barcelona defeating Manchester United. Old Stadium. The game is coming to an end. With a 2-goal lead, Manchester United's youth team continued to play a defensive strategy, establishing a solid defensive line in the middle and back areas of the field. Facing unreasonable buses. West Ham United's youth players kept changing their attacking strategies, but were unable to achieve any real results. And they also need to be careful of their opponents' counterattacks. Manchester United's young players are smart. After gaining possession, they quickly moved to the left side in search of Chu Feng to launch a quick counterattack. Therefore, West Ham United's youth team was cautious and didn't dare to press forward too much. Their core player, Rice, also subconsciously moved toward the same side to help Lewis with defense. There's nothing I can do. No one can defend themselves completely alone. So their offensive intensity inevitably decreases, making it even harder for them to pose a significant threat. Absolutely boring. But Chu Feng's performance is really good. I hope he can join the first team soon. As the game neared its end, West Ham United youth have won a corner on the left side. Reece passed the ball backward. Due to Tuanzeb's defensive mistake, Kina, who was unmarked, seized the opportunity to head the ball into the net, helping the team score a goal to tie the score. But there wasn't enough time left. When the referee blew the whistle to end the game, the score remained 2-1. Manchester United's youth team achieved a much-needed victory. Chu Feng bowed to the spectators on the sidelines with his teammates. For these young players, nothing brings more happiness than receiving support from their fans. Chu, I understand everything now. Your skills, just like my height, improve automatically at a certain point in time. McTominay wore a look of sudden realization and said with a smile. You're right. Chu Feng agreed. I can't possibly say I'm cheating, can I? However, the ages 18 to 23 are indeed a period of rapid development. Both physical fitness and skills experience significant growth during this time. Of course, in reality, there are also players who achieve success later in their careers. They might play in lower-level leagues at first, before suddenly breaking through later on. For example, Diego Milito and Vardy. 1 hour later. Carlton training base. Throughout the entire game, our defensive play was excellent. We covered most of the central area effectively, and everyone performed very well. But don't be complacent. There's still much room for improvement. For example, your teamwork in defending isn't seamless enough, and you're not decisive enough in making aggressive moves. Faria pointed at the tactical board and began to review the game. To develop excellent young players, the most important thing is to establish clear standards and help them develop good playing habits. Therefore, post-match analysis becomes particularly important. Alright, that's all for today. Remember to stretch and take a break when you get back. Chu, stay behind for a moment. I need to talk to you. Faria took a sip of water and spoke in a deep voice. Okay, Mr. Faria. Chu Feng raised his eyebrows. Is this meant to give myself a special treat? McTominay smiled broadly and secretly made a "come on" gesture, wishing his friend luck in winning the assistant position. After all the team members left, only 2 people remained in the large room. Faria took out her laptop and said slowly, "Chu, I won't hide it from you. Since your skills have improved significantly recently, Jose is very interested in you." Chu Feng's heart started beating faster instantly. He sat up straight, ready to listen attentively. Chapter 8, Assessment Tasks for Joining the First Team. You did very well today, but you're still a little short of our expectations. I've prepared a new training plan for you. It will be sent to your email later. It's mainly aimed at improving hip flexibility, explosive speed, relative speed, and overall physical resistance. There's still half a month left before the new season begins. While it might not show much results in the short term, I hope you'll still strive to complete this plan thoroughly. 2 weeks from now, we'll evaluate the young players to determine who will be selected for the first team. Faria smiled as she opened the file on her desktop. To be honest, he believes in Chu Feng's talent. That delicate sense of the ball is something that can't be faked, nor is it something that can be achieved simply by being in good form. And currently, Manchester United is in need of a versatile winger who can create opportunities. If Chu Feng meets the coaching staff's minimum requirements, he's willing to let him join the first team. Moreover, using competitions as a training ground is the fastest way to improve. Rashford from last season is a perfect example of this. Chu Feng carefully went through it. A very detailed, targeted training plan. Is that really special treatment? Mr. Faria, rest assured, I will train strictly in accordance with the plan. Then I'll be going now. Chu Feng quickly stood up to express his gratitude. He's fully aware of the gap between the EFL League 2 and the Premier League, as well as the gap between himself and the first-team players. Therefore, he's prepared to spend another half-year in the reserve team. But I didn't expect that Mourinho's coaching staff would be willing to give him a chance. It must be captured. Besides, I'm someone who has a system by my side. Not only can 6-dimensional attributes be rapidly increased through training, but the system also features more sophisticated mechanisms. In half a month, he believed he could convince Mourinho. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to tell you. The Chinese Football Association has invited you to return to the country to participate in the national games. But since this isn't an international A-level competition, I suggest you decline the invitation. Just as Chu Feng was about to push the door and leave, Faria's voice suddenly rang out. Okay, I'll reject them. Chu Feng was stunned for a moment before answering decisively. Faria nodded gently. He's seen many players with great talent ruin their careers due to participating in countless pointless competitions, which led to injuries and impaired performance. Chu Feng wasn't as naive as he had imagined. Instead, he possessed a maturity that surpassed that of his peers. In his opinion, people like Chu Feng are more likely to succeed. Chu Feng went back to his dormitory, took a shower, then opened his books and began to study on his own. Since today's match started at 7 p.m., it ended around 9 p.m. So he asked for a day off from the teachers at Barrow RC High School. But he can't neglect his studies. He still needs to get into college. There are many highly educated individuals in the professional football world. For example, Giorgio Chiellini has a master's degree in economics, Andres Iniesta has a master's degree in sports science, and Cesc Fabregas has an MBA. 2 hours later. Chu Feng yawned, closed his book, and out of boredom, opened the system to check how much his attribute values had increased. Suddenly, a cold mechanical sound rang out. Main quest activated, passed the assessment after 15 days to join Manchester United's first team. Mission reward, golden module chest. Since this is the host's first time activating the task reward level is automatically raised to gold. Reward details, treasure chests are divided into 4 levels, bronze, gold, platinum, and legend. Chu Feng lay in bed, carefully studying the system panel. Are the task's trigger conditions active or passive? What is the purpose of a module? Should I quickly improve my attributes through training, or should I focus on acquiring special skills? Chu Feng shook his head, trying to suppress his excitement. His doubts will surely be resolved after the task is completed. There's no need to worry too much about them. Besides, while the system's role in enhancing one's talents is crucial, personal effort is also indispensable. It's important to focus on training with dedication first. Late at night. The video of the Manchester United youth team's match against West Ham United youth team went viral and became widely shared in the Chinese football community. Post boards, Hupu, forums. Countless people are discussing enthusiastically. Since that land is extremely barren, the sudden appearance of healthy, thriving saplings naturally attracts a lot of attention. But most of it was just mockery. Really? Can our country still produce excellent players? Surely there are such people. But most of them remain hidden from view, like those who work as food delivery drivers, carpool service providers, or novelists. There were many genius youths in the past too. In the end, didn't they all become ordinary people like everyone else? Question first. Playing in the EFL League 2 has become a mess. In the past, Chu Feng paid his own way to join Manchester United's youth academy. But after playing there for 5 years without ever making it to the first team, it seems he'll have to return to the Chinese Super League to make a living. You don't need to be sarcastic either. Chu Feng is already quite good. Whether it's his dribbling or his awareness of the game, he's really talented. The next day. Everything was dead silent. In the thin white morning mist, the figure of the young boy was barely visible. In the morning, I do aerobic exercise. I start with a 2-kilometer jog to warm up, followed by 5 kilometers at 60% of my maximum heart rate. Strength training, speed endurance training, ball-related training, tactical drills. Chu Feng strictly followed the plan. Are you tired? Of course I'm tired. But it's infinitely better than not being able to play football at all, and being eliminated in despair. Moreover, seeing his various attributes increase day by day gave him a great sense of accomplishment. Meanwhile, office of the head coach at the training base. With silver hair all over his head, Mourinho stood by the window, his tablet displaying an edited video. Swinging past opponents, dribbling past them. Suddenly, he felt that the boys on the training field were like blank sheets of paper, full of potential for shaping. The players he likes aren't necessarily those with exceptional talent. But they're definitely hardworking and able to accurately assess their own abilities and conditions. For example, Mancini's Sane, Chelsea's Eschen, and Manchester United's Rashford and Lingard. But players like Pogba, he really can't stand them. Although his individual skills are outstanding, he's lazy during matches, refuses to participate in defense, and shows no sense of teamwork at all. Their attitude towards training on regular days is even worse. Mourinho put down the tablet, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly as he looked forward to the youth team assessment in half a month. Time passed during the tedious training. Chu Feng led a life that consisted of going back and forth between the training ground, dormitory, and school. Regular comprehensive physical examinations are also necessary from time to time, to prevent injuries caused by overtraining. During this period, his technical skills continued to improve, and all his attributes also increased accordingly. It must be said that the targeted plans developed by the coaching staff are very effective. Chu Feng could clearly feel that his movements were becoming more graceful and fluid. But it was tough for McTominay. Faria put him and Chu Feng in the same team. They had to train from dawn till dusk every day, which caused McTominay's appetite to increase significantly recently. Chapter 9, Blow the Other Side to Pieces. August 11th. The Carlisle training base was bustling with activity. After discussion and consultation among the coaching staff, it was decided to use a different method for selection. Mix players from Manchester United's first team and youth teams together to form two different teams, and then play a regular official match between them. The final list is determined by scoring each young player based on their performance, along with their training results from recent periods. By the side of the court, Mourinho held the tactical board in his hands and read aloud in a deep voice. Red team, Martic, Ibrahimović, McTominay, and Chu. White team, Pogba, Valencia, Rashford, Lukaku, Gomez. The staffing of both teams is roughly the same. The main playing style will be what I've mentioned earlier. I hope everyone takes today's match seriously. Also, this match isn't just a selection trial for the youth team. If the first team players fail to meet my expectations, then once the season starts, you'll have to sit on the bench, or even be sent down to the second team. Upon hearing this, Chu Feng nodded in understanding. Judging from Mourinho's team assignments, both teams are quite evenly matched in strength, and they both suit Manchester United's preferred tactics. There won't be a situation where one side has complete dominance. Everyone, come over here. I'll explain the next steps. McTominay, you go to the defensive midfielder position. That Asian kid, you go to the left side. When attacking, pay attention to my position. Move around me and cut in. Guys, you must be very excited to be able to play football with me. Now, we're a team. Let's all cheer up and give it our all to defeat our opponents. Ibra gathered the young players together and gave a passionate speech. Truly worthy of being the great Feng's predecessor. This domineering declaration truly makes one's blood boil with excitement. Chu Feng smiled in response, then ran to his seat. He thought it was nice to play alongside Ibra. It wasn't because of any idol complex on his part, it was simply because playing with Ibra was easy. By focusing attacks around Ibrahimović, it's possible to pose a significant threat to the opponent. Most importantly, it should facilitate one's own performance. He can drive the ball forward, or use Ibrahimovic's passes to quickly move forward and create scoring opportunities. He's well aware that Manchester United lacks creativity on the flanks right now. Today, he needs to play to his strengths and minimize his weaknesses, while doing his best to showcase his dribbling skills. On the other hand, let's look at Team White. Pogba had a dismissive attitude, with his eyes practically rolled up to the sky, his face showing clear disdain. Lukaku touched his shiny head and stood there, looking silly. Once all the preparations were completed, the team selection match officially began when the chief referee blew his sharp whistle. After the white team took the ball, they continuously made passes and cuts, breaking through the opponent's defense. Only 3 minutes have passed since the start of the game. Mbappe received a pass from a teammate near the midfield. With a clever flick and push, he easily avoided McTominay's challenge. His talent is beyond doubt. Pass the ball. On the right flank, Rashford ran into space and called for the ball loudly. But Pogba completely ignored him and continued to carry the ball forward on his own. Gomez's defensive movement from the flanks was very quick. He got close to the opponent and disrupted their ball control. Boom! The sound of violent physical collisions echoed through the air. Gomez fell to the ground with a thud. Not even close to being heavyweight. In the blink of an eye, Pogba pushed forward into the penalty area and fired a fierce shot. The football headed straight for the right side of the goal. Critical moment. De Gea leaped high to block the ball across the goal line. Beautiful. Chu Feng was running back, and upon seeing De Gea's amazing save, he couldn't help but exclaim. By the side of the court, Mourinho had a gloomy expression on his face, with dissatisfaction evident in his eyes. What's the most important ability in the lower back? The spirit of self-sacrifice. But Pogba is a self-centered, show-off type of player who always tries to show off from time to time. If it happens in the forward area or on the flanks, then it's completely understandable. However, Pogba often shows off in his own half of the field, and when he loses the ball, it can be deadly for his team. Besides, it was obvious that a teammate had already created an open space. Mourinho began to consider the feasibility of keeping Pogba on the bench. Don't let the opponent take shots from long range easily. Intercept the ball in midfield early and coordinate defenses with teammates. De Gea clapped his hands loudly to get his teammates' attention. The game has restarted. White team's corner kick. Rashford passes the ball near the penalty spot. Lukaku managed to get a touch of the ball, but due to Tuanzeb's interference, he failed to hit the goal frame. Perhaps everyone was scared by Mourinho's words, so they tried their best to prove their worth, with great seriousness. Chu Feng also realized the intensity of the Premier League. Every minute and second involves intense close combat. It's essential to remain vigilant at all times and pay attention to what's happening around you. Therefore, he didn't get very many good opportunities either. The situation quickly became deadlocked, with the ball constantly changing hands. Minute 16 of the match. Pogba repeats his usual tactic, breaking through from the center of the field. If it weren't for Mourinho's insistence, I definitely wouldn't have participated in today's match. Wouldn't it be better to use that time to get a new hairstyle or learn witchcraft? So, he felt frustrated inside and wanted to find an opportunity to vent his anger. Besides, they're just a group of young players. They can do whatever they want. Therefore, his ball-handling movements seem a bit casual. McTominay's eyes lit up, and he quickly stretched out his leg to steal the ball. Pogba sharply flicked his right foot outward. The football slipped past McTominay's side. But someone was faster. Martic. He seized the moment after Pogba touched the ball, moving forward with lightning speed. First-class interception capabilities. After making the steal, Martic didn't hesitate at all and passed the ball straight to the left wing. Excellent passing vision. Mourinho narrowed his eyes and looked at the dark-haired boy. Chu Feng quickly turned around and saw that Valencia was rushing towards him. It seemed like Valencia didn't want Chu Feng to catch the ball easily. A clear train of thought seemed to emerge in his mind. Valencia is very fast. Although I won't pay too much attention to Chu Feng, I won't take him lightly either. There are plenty of examples of people getting caught off guard in unexpected situations. He certainly didn't want to give Mourinho a bad impression because of this. Chu Feng quickly adjusted his footing. His left foot pretended to step to the left, as if to meet the ball from the inside. Sure enough. Valencia changed direction and intercepted the ball with his foot. At the moment of touching the ball, Chu Feng twisted his body to the right. The entire person just passed by Valencia. Casual and effortless. Valencia's dark face was covered with surprise. Although his defensive skills aren't very good, he's still one of Manchester United's 4 Dark Kings. His overall ability is definitely sufficient. How could I be distracted by a young player like that? And at this moment, by the sidelines of the field. The cold expression on Mourinho's face vanished instantly. He asked in disbelief, compared to 2 weeks ago, Chu's skills have improved even further. It wasn't Chu Feng's extraordinary skills that shocked him, but rather the terrifying speed at which his strength was increasing. Boss, this kid takes his training seriously and always trains extra. Assistant coach Faria quickly took advantage of the opportunity to say some nice things. Chapter 10, Truth and Fiction. During their conversation, Valencia quickly closed the gap. He wants to regain his dignity. Someone's coming behind you. Ibu ran while shouting. Due to Pogba pressing too far forward, a large gap opened up in the left flank area. Chu Feng decisively attacked the middle lane. Ib's great sword was already desperate for action. With a graceful move that involved both stopping and passing, he avoided Phil Jones's interception. He's already 36 years old, and his running ability has significantly declined. But that doesn't mean he's not Manchester United's most important player. Last season, he appeared in 21 matches, scoring 12 goals and providing 3 assists for Manchester United, far outperforming his teammates. Before joining Manchester United, he said, "I really admire Cantona. I've heard what he says. But I won't become the king of Manchester United. I'll become the god of Manchester United." Moreover, as he got older, he gradually changed his playing style. He no longer played at the forefront, but instead acted as a link for passing the ball in the middle of the field. Ibra tilted his body slightly and delivered a precise pass to the left side of the penalty area. Snap! The football rolls swiftly across the grass. The breeze in Manchester stirred the young boy's black hair, causing drops of sweat to fall from his hairline. Kylian moves at incredible speed. He has full confidence in his own abilities. If only I can block this solo shot, I might win Mourinho's favor and reach the pinnacle of my career. But soon after, his movements became unclear/indistinct. Because Chu Feng in front of him kept moving his left and right feet, causing his upper body to sway back and forth, like a pendulum in violent motion. Real? False? No, every feint or fake move can turn into a real attack at any moment. Can't predict. Kieran's heart started pounding. He gritted his teeth, prepared to take a chance, and rushed to the right. Under the gazes of dozens of people who were waiting with anticipation. Chu Feng transforms the void into substance, pushing his right foot outward. Assistant Faria opened her mouth wide in amazement. The way the ball was touched was simply breathtakingly beautiful. He could no longer tell whether it was his feet that controlled the ball, or the ball that guided his feet. Kieran collapsed to the ground, powerless, allowing the ball to pass through the goal behind him. Chu Feng didn't use any fancy moves, he simply pushed the ball steadily to score. 1 o'clock. The red team scored first. Ibu covered her head in shock, her gaze shifting from calm to eager. Who is his idol? De Luo. Even though he once said, "I'm second only to God," even though he was so rebellious and unruly. But when meeting De Luo, he still expressed his admiration and respect without any reservation. And that pendulum-like move just now had an unparalleled visual impact, making one's soul tremble with emotion. It reminded me of the times when I competed against De Luo on the same field. Asian boy, well done. Are you Japanese or Korean? Ibu stepped forward excitedly and hugged Chu Feng's shoulders tightly. Ahem, please be gentle. Chu Feng almost suffocated from being choked. Ibu felt a little embarrassed and quickly let go of his hand. I thought to myself that this kid doesn't seem very fit or strong. I'll take him to learn Taekwondo when I have time. I don't expect to become a tough guy like myself, but at least I need to get stronger. Otherwise, it'll be difficult to succeed in the Premier League. Mkhitaryan is a good example of what happens when you're not strong enough. I'm Chinese, but I don't know how to do Kung Fu. Chu Feng took a breath and even made a joke along the way. As for one's own nationality, he has nothing to hide. The common perception abroad is that only Japanese and Koreans are good at playing football in Asia. But now, with this system, I can increase my innate talent limit. Why can't he change the minds of most people? Although they might not be as strong as the world's best players, Japanese and Korean players can definitely handle players from the 5 major leagues with ease. Huaxia is really great. When I played for AC Milan, I often met Huaxia fans. They were all very enthusiastic and friendly. Ibrahima has no notions of racial discrimination. He's a second-generation immigrant to Sweden, considered an outsider by hostile fans who referred to him as a gypsy. In the eyes of Europeans, gypsies are seen as people who engage in deception and fraud, who refuse to integrate into society, don't work, and exploit government welfare programs. Some people, when hurt, choose to become abusers in turn. And the others. Finally, IB added, it doesn't matter if you don't know Kung Fu. In the future, if you train Taekwondo with me, I guarantee no one will ever bully you again. Okay. Chu Feng replied with a smile. By the side of the court. Mourinho kept writing and drawing in his notebook, while muttering to himself the whole time. Skilled dribbling, extremely fast reaction time, and excellent tactical awareness. Although still inexperienced, he's quite good already. Needs some more training. But what I like most is Chu's calmness, which doesn't match his age at all. At his age, I would be completely panicked when playing one-on-one. The shock on Assistant Faria's face faded, replaced by suspicion. Boss, weren't you a midfielder during your playing career? And to be honest, your skill level is average at best. At most, you'd be able to start games in the Chinese Super League. But he wouldn't dare say those things to his face. Boss, you and Chu aren't the same type of player. Your organizational skills and leadership are much stronger. Hee hee. Mourinho glanced at his old friend with disdain. Don't I know what I'm like myself? The game has restarted. Pogba realized his mistake and became somewhat annoyed and embarrassed, but it didn't really affect him much. Instead, they became more cautious when handling the ball, no longer losing possession so easily. Valencia felt a hint of regret. My performance just now must have displeased the head coach. So I remained highly focused, paying attention to Chu Feng at all times. As long as the latter tries to get the ball, immediately push forward and interfere, leaving no room for the opponent to turn around. Move back 5 more meters and stand in a key area of the middle and backcourt. If you fail to steal the ball, don't stand still. Turn around immediately and try to steal it back. Matic kept giving instructions. Minute 36 of the match. Chu Feng retreats to catch the ball. But they didn't manage to advance much before encountering the combined defense of Valencia and Herrera. To be safe, he had no choice but to pass the ball back and let his teammates reorganize their attack. Inside him lies a more mature soul. He won't anymore act recklessly and try to attract others' attention through such actions as before. Currently, our side has the advantage. As long as we keep control of the ball, it's the opposing team that should be worried. When people are anxious, they reveal their weaknesses. That's the perfect opportunity. When Mourinho saw this, he nodded imperceptibly. Most of football matches are boring. The era of intense attacking play is over. Now, efficiency is key. Keep the focus of the game within your own half, forcing the opponent to come forward. Then, by taking advantage of the gaps behind the opponent's defense, they form a cohesive formation and launch a counterattack with lightning speed. From a more comprehensive perspective, it involves precise control of the game and improving the speed at which attacks are converted into goals. He became increasingly curious about Chu Feng. What kind of experiences could have made Chu Feng so mature and calm? As time passed, the first half of the game came to an end quickly. The score remains 1-0. P.S. Thank you to the book lover, Mo Xiang Yuheng, for donating 2,000 coins, and to I Am an Invincible Stone Man for donating 500 coins. No need for excessive thanks. The author will do their best to update the work and create something that satisfies everyone. Chapter 11, Someone's Coming. Hey, feed Ibu the cake. During the halftime break, several players who didn't perform well were taken off the field. Although they were reluctant, they had no choice but to regret their poor performance today and obediently follow Mourinho's orders. The world of football is both fair and cruel. If you have great strength, your talents will never go unnoticed. Chu Feng took the bottle from McTominay and rinsed his mouth with it. This isn't ordinary purified water, but a specially prepared carbohydrate solution. Gargling helps lower the temperature in the mouth, while also leaving behind a slight amount of energy. This helps deceive the brain, thereby improving athletic performance and reducing exercise-induced fatigue. Mourinho slammed the tactical board hard and said in a deep voice. In the second half of the game, you need to focus on attacking the gaps on the flanks behind the opponent's defense. By making short passes to draw the opponent's attention, it becomes much easier for the other players to make long passes and make breakthroughs. Also, Chu, don't stick to your position too rigidly. Today is just a practice match. Be bold and move into the areas behind the defensive players to help Ibrahim create space and relieve some of the pressure on him when he has the ball. Alright, young men, go on stage. As soon as the words were spoken, most of the players turned their attention to Chu Feng. In just a few words, Mourinho made it clear how much he valued Chu Feng. Last season, Rashford received the same treatment before being promoted to the first team. Thinking of this, the young team members' feelings became complicated, filled with both envy and jealousy. Chu Feng wasn't particularly impressed. He wasn't some 18-year-old kid who would get complacent over something like this. Coach, I understand. After saying that, he turned around and ran to his seat. The second half of the game has begun. Team White launched a fierce attack and advanced quickly. On the other hand, the red team's overall formation became more compact. Having too many players clustered in a 30-meter area not only limited Mbappé's performance but also ruined the white team's plans for penetrating through the middle of the field. Chu Feng also actively participated in the team's defense. He moved back about 15 meters in front of the left back, forming a solid defensive line together with the midfielders. Manchester United now has only one special player. Ibra. Due to age and physical limitations, he needs to play in the midfield or forward areas, serving as the team's counter-attack player. Therefore, in Mourinho's tactical plan, Ibra could no longer play the entire match. Instead, he had to be rotated with Lukaku. This way, the team can maintain its offensive efficiency while also enforcing a strong defense when leading. As time passed and the race neared its end, the balance of victory gradually tilted in favor of the red team. Pogba finally couldn't hold back any longer. Although both teams had young players alongside their regulars, he still couldn't accept losing the game like that. So, he kept urging his teammates to attack. The situation on the green field changes rapidly. Rashford drives inside towards the middle of the field. Chu Feng quickly moved in to join forces with McTominay in defending the area. But Rashford didn't even look up, simply passing the ball back toward the center of the field. Pogba passed the ball to Valencia on the right flank. He has one obvious flaw: he relies on just one trick to succeed. Pass the ball, start the move to the bottom, cross the ball. But don't underestimate him just because of that. Since being transformed into a winger by Van Gaal, his speed can be fully utilized, as he now has more space to sprint ahead. Overall strength has risen by another half-tier, marking a second spring in his professional career. He was named in UEFA's Best Team of the Season and Manchester United's Player of the Year last season. What's most admirable is that he broke his leg for Manchester United, fired their agents, and worked so hard that his eyes became swollen. What a resilient attitude. Valencia cut inside and brought the ball to his front. In the face of Ashley Young's interception, he skillfully passed the ball to the side and continued to move forward at high speed. Upon reaching the right side area of the large forbidden zone, strike decisively. His low cross was really tricky. Bailey didn't react in time, and the football went right through his legs. But soon after, a scene on the green field broke hearts. Lukaku was standing 3 meters away from the goal. He seemed a bit caught off guard, adopting a strange posture as he stretched out his right foot forward. Snap! The football flew straight toward De Gea and landed right in his arms. I'm not wearing my goal-scoring boots today, so it's a bit hard to get the feel for them. Lukaku's expression was quite awkward, so he came up with what he thought was a pretty good excuse. De Gea simply ignored him. Because he saw that someone was cutting in ahead, it was an excellent opportunity for a counterattack. He swung his right hand in a circular motion and threw the ball with all his strength. The football quickly moved towards the left flank. Chu Feng raised his right foot high and saved the football from going out of bounds. I think my ball-stopping skills aren't good enough. In the fast-paced games of the Premier League, saving even half a second can make a huge difference in the outcome of an attack. Due to Valencia's excessive forward movement, there were no defensive players near Chu Feng. So, although the ball wasn't stopped perfectly, it was still under his control. Pogba rushed at him from the side with great intensity. The movement pattern is carefully planned. It not only cuts off Chu Feng's connection with his teammates in the middle lane, but also allows for intercepts by moving diagonally forward. He was very dissatisfied with Chu Feng's performance just now. I should be the brightest star in the night sky, admired and worshipped by countless people. You're a young team member, right? He would use decisive steals to make this young player from Huaxia realize the gap between himself and top-tier players. Chu Feng isn't some inexperienced rookie. How could he possibly be scared? He pretended to charge forward, trying to break through along the side path. When Pogba made a move, he stopped his opponent's progress, then used the resulting space to make a cross towards the middle of the field. A very clear approach to handling the situation. Mourinho, standing by the pitch, couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. McTominay moved forward in the middle, moving the ball wide to the right side. Mata kept the ball about half a meter in front of him, glanced up slightly to take in the positions of his teammates. He has an extremely wide field of vision and superb passing skills. Manchester United's attacking engine. Mata adopted an impeccable stance, made the adjustments with ease, and kicked the ball with the top of his foot. Snap! The football rises into the air, like a magnificent rainbow. With Mata organizing attacks on the right side and Ibrahimović waiting to receive the ball in the center, the white team's formation shifted to the same side. As a result, most of the defensive players focused their attention on those two players. Meanwhile, a figure silently made its way to the edge of the penalty area. Chu Feng didn't make any more mistakes in stopping the ball, successfully delivering it firmly in front of him. He now has two options: he can shoot from a tight angle on the left side of the penalty area, or he can pass the ball to a teammate to carry out the attack. The moment Phil Jones rushed forward, he made up his mind and passed the ball in a decisive diagonal pass. Nice pass! Ibra shouted loudly, pushed aside Herrera on the side, and shot the ball to the right. Bang! The football spins violently in mid-air. Quilon leaped forward with great speed. But the angle of the shot was too tricky. It was one of his worst fears, a shot that went too high. The ball could only fall helplessly onto the grass. 2 o'clock. Chapter 12, Passing the Selection. Ibra stepped forward quickly, ready to try a choke again. Suddenly remembering something, he stopped his actions reluctantly, patted Chu Feng on the shoulder, and said regretfully, "I was still waiting for you to shoot. If you hadn't scored, I would have scolded you again. I never expected you to pass the ball instead." Your position is quite good." Chu Feng's lips kept twitching. He never expected that De Fengxian had such a scheming side to him. It was truly eye-opening. The red team members celebrated briefly, then continued to defend tenaciously with high morale and energy during the remaining time of the match. They managed to maintain their lead until the end of the practice game. White team players, including Rashford, were dissatisfied with Pogba's overbearing sense of self-importance. If he hadn't wasted so many opportunities, even if they lost the game, things wouldn't have turned out so badly. After today's training match, most of the first-team players got to know that young man with black hair and yellow skin. "There's nothing I can do. It's because Chu Feng's performance was simply too outstanding. Both of Bai's goals were directly related to him. Your skills are quite impressive. Valencia isn't the kind of person who's petty or easily angered. He won't get upset just because someone younger than him outperforms him. On the contrary, after witnessing Chu Feng's abilities, he really hoped to become his teammate." "Thank you for the compliment." Chu Feng blinked his eyes and replied with a smile. To be honest, he truly admires Valencia, especially in terms of professional ethics. Not everyone can consistently treat every game with seriousness and dedication over decades, without ever complaining. Haha. Valencia seemed to be infected by the boy's vitality, with the corners of her mouth slightly lifting. This left the rest of the Manchester United players completely stunned. Everyone knows that Valencia has a permanently gloomy expression. Ever since his best friend Nani left, he's never smiled again. I never expected. After the post-match stretching session was completed, today's selection tournament came to an end. Just as Chu Feng was about to leave the training ground, he saw Faria waving at him. He quickly ran over. "Congratulations in advance. Your performance is much better than I expected." Faria stretched out his big hand and gave Chu Feng's shoulder a firm pat. "Thank." Before Chu Feng could finish speaking, he suddenly froze in place, his heart beating uncontrollably fast. He understood the hidden meaning in Faria's words. "Did you pass the assessment on your own?" Even though he had gone through rebirth, he still couldn't remain calm when faced with important life transitions. "You're welcome. You earned all of this yourself. Tomorrow, the club will sign a new contract with you. By the way, don't slack off on your training at all during this period." Faria knew that Chu Feng needed some time alone at this moment. After encouraging him a bit, she turned and left. Chu Feng took deep breaths repeatedly, calming the turmoil in his heart. Where have we even come to? The road ahead is still long. Manchester United Canteen. From now on, since all three of us will be on the first team, we'll be able to use the cafeteria 24 hours a day. McTominay shoved a big piece of steak into his mouth and stammered. "That's incredibly shallow. Is that really why you wanted to make it to the first team? Rashford really disdains it." Who, after joining the first team, cares most about the cafeteria? I heard that tomorrow, Mr. Juliano will check each player's physical condition and create customized nutritional plans for them. You might never be able to eat sweet-flavored chicken again. Chu Feng showed a pitying expression, effectively ending the match. Ah! McTominay was stunned. He felt like the food in front of him had lost all its taste. After dinner, Chu Feng walked back to the dormitory at a leisurely pace. He took out his phone and checked the time. After hesitating for a while, he finally dialed the number. The coastal city of Huaxia, thousands of miles away. Du-du-du. Lao Chu, go pick up the call quickly. At this time of day, it's only my son who would call. A middle-aged woman in her 40s was cutting vegetables on the cutting board, shouting loudly. Don't worry, don't worry. The phone isn't going to run away anywhere. A middle-aged man, wearing a loose vest and shorts, slowly walked out of the bathroom. Don't die already. All you say every day is, don't rush, don't rush. What if my son has something urgent to take care of? Yan Lanxia slammed the kitchen knife into the cutting board with a loud thud. Chu Changjing realized that the volcano was about to erupt. He didn't even have time to tie his belt. He immediately picked up the phone and switched it to speakerphone mode. Judging from the smoothness of the movements, it probably isn't the first time. Mom. Yan Lanxia heard the familiar voice coming from the microphone. Her expression changed instantly. She wiped her hands repeatedly on her apron and rushed out of the kitchen. Chu Changjing sighed in relief and handed over his phone. Gee, son, have you been working hard in training lately? Are you tired? Do you need money again? Your dad just distributed the quarterly bonuses. I'll have him transfer the money to you in a moment. After being reborn, due to his nervousness, Chu Feng never called his family. He always felt unsure about how to deal with his parents. But hearing his mother Yan Lanxia's 3 consecutive questions, he seemed to revert to the young boy he once was. Mom, it's not hard, not tiring, and we're not short of money either. I'm calling to tell you that I've made it to the first team. Chu Feng was like a primary school student who had won an award, eager to show off to his parents. Silence filled both ends of the phone line. Yan Lanxia looked at Chu Changjing in disbelief. Old Chu, I must be dreaming. Please pinch me. Chu Changjing was also shocked by this news. It took a while before I came back to my senses. I slapped my right hand hard on my thigh. Snap. He had been scammed before, paying the price with 2 months' worth of his savings. This experience taught him a valuable lesson. It's true. Chu Changjing's expression became very complicated. Sometimes he gritted his teeth and made faces, other times he smiled broadly. Oh, your father. Yan Lanxia was so excited that she couldn't speak coherently. It should be understood that it's practically impossible for the working class to afford to send their children abroad to play soccer. Even Manchester United's youth development program allows top players to have most of the costs waived. But they still can't save any money. There were also relatives and colleagues who spoke behind my back, saying things like, what's the point of playing football? Will it help you get a good job in the future? Only those who are not good at studying play football. Chu Feng's future is ruined. Spending so much money every year, will there even be any money left to marry a wife? These are trivial matters. Yan Lanxia doesn't care about them. What really bothers her is her son. At the age of 13, he left his hometown and went to England alone. Although there are guardianship agencies there, they must also have gone through a lot of hardships. If it weren't for Chu Feng's strong determination and Chu Changjing's firm support back then, she would never have agreed to let Chu Feng go abroad. Mom, I think you'll be able to see me on TV soon. Don't forget to cheer for me then. Chu Feng said with a smile. Of course, of course. Both my dad and I will watch the game live. The porridge in the pot is about to spill over. Let your dad talk to you for a moment first. Yan Lanxia heard a sizzling sound coming from the kitchen, so she handed her phone to Chu Changjing. Chapter 13, Unlocking the Golden Module Chest. I checked in advance. From late September to mid-October, it's the international competition period. You'll probably be on vacation, right? Do you want to come back for a while? The airfare is too expensive. It's okay, Dad. I have some personal matters to deal with. Never mind. You've just joined the first team. You must not let anything distract you. Upon hearing the noise behind him, Chu Feng hurriedly changed his words. Your uncle just brought a bag of seaweed the day before yesterday. I'll make your favorite sea jelly later and send it to you in vacuum-sealed packaging. This thing can be stored. You can open it whenever you want to eat. Plus, it has very low calories. Yan Lanxia ignored Chu Feng's resentful expression, snatched the phone back from him, and spoke in a kind manner. Sure, I really crave it right now. Although those things can be bought at supermarkets, Chu Feng didn't want Yan Lanxia to work too hard. But after being reborn, he understood very well that, among family members, the best way to communicate is by being needed by each other. When you truly take away those things that parents have prepared with care, they will be very happy. Gee, okay. I'll send it to you once it's ready. Yan Lanxia beamed with joy, feeling an indescribable sense of satisfaction in her heart. She wanted to keep talking for a while longer, but after checking the time on her phone, she said reluctantly, Son, your dad and I are going for a walk. We'll stop talking for now. Okay, be careful. After a while, Chu Feng put on his shoes and asked in confusion, weren't we going for a walk? Stop strolling around. Go find that big iron pot at home. I'll go wash the seaweed first. Yan Lanxia put down her phone and hummed a tune as she walked towards the kitchen. How about using a pressure cooker? It'll take just 1 hour. No, the food cooked in a pressure cooker is too soft. After a couple of days, liquid will seep out of it. How can my son eat that? All right then. Chu Feng had a worried and unhappy expression on his face. It was clear he didn't want to work at all. From Binching to Manchester, just the shipping cost alone could be enough to buy several pounds of jellyfish jelly. Is it really worth going through all this trouble? But he dared not speak out of anger. After all, it wasn't him who made the decisions in the household. Carlton Training Base. Youth Team Dormitory. Chu Feng hung up the phone and focused on opening the system. Dribbling, 79.65, 97. Passing, 69.74, 83. Shooting, 70.06, 95. Watching the slowly increasing numbers, Chu Feng felt all his fatigue disappear, and his body was filled with energy. Moreover, he also noticed that at the critical level of 80, the rate at which attributes increased became slower. But upon closer thought, that's probably true. The curve of growth is always steep at first and then flattens out. If growth could continue at a constant rate, that would be terrifying. Chu Feng suddenly glanced at the system panel, which showed that the main quest hadn't been completed yet. But it should be almost here. With hopes for the future, Chu Feng fell asleep without realizing it. The next day, there were no fireworks or celebratory noises. The signing ceremony was very simple. Chu Feng and Mourinho sat facing the camera, each holding a pen in their hands, with the pen suspended over a piece of white paper. The actual contract was signed long ago. The team reporter found the perfect angle, pressed the shutter, and captured a seemingly ordinary photo. After all, Chu Feng isn't some superstar worth hundreds of millions. He doesn't have enough status for the club to go to all the trouble to prepare something special for him. By the way, his current weekly salary is a full £1,500. Although he's at the bottom of the hierarchy within the team, he's quite satisfied. At least he doesn't have to spend his family's money anymore and can support himself. Moreover, every young player receives the same treatment upon joining the first team, with no exceptions. How much improvement can be made in the future depends entirely on the player's own performance. For example, Rashford. In less than 2 years, his weekly salary increased by 17 times, from £1,500 to £25,000. A few days ago, he also bought his mother a new house worth £800,000. A truly filial son. After the signing ceremony, there were still many minor tasks to handle. For example, going to the player recruitment department to set up relevant databases, shoot promotional videos, select jersey numbers, and so on. It wasn't until 5 p.m. that all the work was completed. Chu Feng felt even more tired than after playing a 90-minute match. He returned to the new dormitory, his body exhausted. That's right. The treatment of the first-team players is completely different from that of the youth team players. There have been comprehensive improvements and enhancements for both groups. Even so, most players still choose to rent apartments outside. After all, when they're being affectionate with their girlfriends, they can't possibly bring them into the training base, right? If Mourinho finds out, I'm afraid I'll be sent straight to the reserve team. Chu Feng was quite satisfied. It's not that houses outside are too expensive to rent. It's just that having them for free is more cost-effective. All the necessary facilities are available, so there's no need to worry about trivial things. You can simply focus on playing football. After organizing his clothes and equipment, Chu Feng couldn't wait to activate the system. A cold mechanical sound rang out. Ding! Congratulations on completing the main quest, joining Manchester United's first team. Mission reward, golden module chest. Suddenly, a glowing box slowly appeared in midair. Chu Feng narrowed his eyes and examined carefully, spotting many familiar faces among the players above. What the hell is this? It's very similar to the lottery mechanics in online games. Golden module filtering completed. Zidane's Marseille turned move. Denilson's biking module. Ronaldinho's cow tail move. Iniesta's fried dumpling move. Chu Feng didn't rush to open the treasure chest. Instead, he thought carefully about it. He needs to understand these issues clearly so that he can make better use of the system to improve his own capabilities in the future. Although they appear to be modules on the surface, they're actually more like individual skills. It's probably because the level of the gold treasure chest is too low to unlock comprehensive or growth-type modules. But as I move up to the first team, the challenges I'll face will be even greater. I'm sure I'll be able to get treasure chests of a higher level. The future looks promising. Treasure chest is being opened. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Matthew's shoulder pass module. Module details: master this skill quickly through training and improve your proficiency. The golden treasure chest shattered into countless fragments of memory, which merged into Chu Feng's body. Chu Feng shivered, and that was all he felt. Upon reopening the property panel, it was found that the disk's attributes had increased by only 0.01. My system has very clear principles. It's absolutely unacceptable for hosts to reap benefits without putting in any effort. All progress must be achieved through training. That's really nice. Meanwhile, 10:30 a.m., Chinese time. Manchester United officially announced that the club has signed a contract with Chu Feng, valid until 2022. This news caused no stir in Europe, but it created a huge uproar in China. Don't doubt it. In modern-day China, there are very few players who play in the 5 major leagues, let alone lower-tier leagues. And Chu Feng, who is part of Manchester United's youth team, naturally receives a great deal of attention from fans. They long day and night to see their compatriots with black hair and yellow skin on the top-level football fields as soon as possible. Chapter 14, A Conversation with Mourinho. The most crucial thing is, Chinese football has fallen into an unprecedentedly dark situation. In the 8th round of Group A of the AFC World Cup qualifiers in June, the Chinese national team traveled to Malacca to face Syria, the home team. Although Syria scored a goal at the start, the Huaxia team scored 2 goals in the second half to take the lead and held on to that advantage until the end of regular time. But just moments later, in the 3rd minute of injury time, Gao Junmin committed a defensive foul in the penalty area, giving Syria a great opportunity for a free kick. Salah takes a free kick. When the football broke through the wall of players and went straight into the goal's corner, all of Huaxia team's efforts over the 90 minutes were in vain. The entire room fell silent. Countless fans went through those 3 dark minutes. Their hearts, once filled with passion, were now shattered beyond repair. The problem of the national team qualifying for the next round has happened again. First, the Huaxia team needs to win all 2 remaining rounds to finish the top 12 stage with 12 points. Second, Uzbekistan lost both of their last 2 rounds, finishing the top 12 stage with 12 points and a lower goal difference than the Huaxia team. Third, in the last 2 rounds, Syria failed to win, or managed only 1 win and 1 loss. They finished the group stage with 12 points, but their goal difference was worse than that of the Huaxia team. What's the probability of satisfying all of the above conditions at the same time? Only 0.02%. Ibrahimović once said something. Football should take on the role of restoring national pride. But the dazzling fireworks that Chinese fans had dreamed of were quickly extinguished before they even had a chance to shine. So, Chinese fans are like people drowning in water, hoping for a lifeline that will preserve their last hope. Xia Window transferred to the English Premier League club West Bromwich Albion. However, due to the work permit regulations, he was loaned to Bundesliga club Werder Bremen, where Zhang Yuning plays. Wei Shihao, who was loaned to Shanghai SIPG by Portuguese club Leixões e. Lin Liangming of Real Madrid's second team, Castilla. And Chu Feng, who has just been promoted to Manchester United's first team. Countless Chinese football fans hope that they'll perform well on the field. It's not only to prove to the world that Chinese people can play football well, but also to set an example for the country and encourage more young people to get involved in football. Weibo, Hupu, and forums. Intense discussions are taking place on mainstream social media platforms. Trying to deceive me again? In front is Wolfsburg, and behind is Manchester United. Both teams are signing attacking forwards who are good at scoring goals. Can't you show even the most basic level of respect? The national team doesn't deserve this. Why can't 11 people who know how to play football be found among a population of over 1 billion? The day you stop asking this question will be the day Chinese football makes progress. I have the feeling that you're not real fans at all. You're just there to join in the fun. Indeed, there are all kinds of extreme fans out there. But it's rare to find people like you, who focus solely on the negative aspects and completely reject everything about their own team. Competitive sports are a original sin. I have the right to prefer strong teams. If the Chinese national team plays against South Korea, I'll support South Korea. I'll even wear South Korean team jerseys. What's wrong with that? Look at what you're saying. You think this is just a sports-related dispute. But in my view, when football is played between national teams, it represents a competition between two countries and nations. It's about the dignity of those countries and nations. If it were just a few decades ago, you'd be a vile Japanese puppet, bowing and scraping and saying, "My lady, please go this way." Just a clown trying to attract attention. Thinks he's special and rebellious, but deep down, he's full of self-hatred. Chu Feng, go for it. Kick them out and give those Japanese devils a good beating. Given Manchester United's current situation, it's highly unlikely that Chu Feng will get any playing time. He might even have to sit on the bench for the entire season. It's okay. Anyway, I won't watch every match I'm in charge of. I'll just wait for Chu Feng to take the field. Even if it's only for 1 minute, I'll be very happy. Chu Feng might just manage to win 2 championships. Discussions about Chinese football have been rampant on the internet, with people expressing their opinions. Although most opinions are pessimistic. But there's still a small group of fans who haven't given up hope in their hearts. Under the influence of numerous public opinions, the news of Chu Feng being promoted to the first team was overshadowed and didn't receive much attention. Carlton Training Base. Head Coach's Office. Coach, I heard from Mr. Faria that you wanted to see me. Chu Feng calmed his rapid breathing and knocked on the door. Come in. The new season starts tomorrow. You've also trained with the first team for a few days now. Do you have any thoughts? Mourinho nodded in agreement. Chu Feng walked over to the bench and sat down. After thinking for a moment, he shared a thorough summary of his training. Every time I try to make a breakthrough from the front, it feels sluggish. I need to improve my sprint speed over short distances, especially during the first 5 meters of acceleration. And also the ball control and tackling skills in high-speed dribbling, as well as the ability to deliver crosses. After hearing Chu Feng's reply, Mourinho's lips curled into a slight smile. Not bad. You have a clear understanding of yourself. Compared to players like Pogba, who become arrogant with a little talent, Chu Feng's humble and hard-working attitude suits his taste better. But he quickly regained a serious expression and reminded them in a firm voice. As for too much ball-less training, I don't think it's necessary. Great pianists never run around the piano, nor do they do push-ups next to it. They simply keep practicing on the keys. For the next 2 training periods, you need to focus on improving your team spirit and practicing ball control and confrontation skills. I'll explain it to you in detail. In Mourinho's training philosophy, the most important aspect is periodization. This concept originated with his mentor, Victor. It's a management approach to football training that combines elements from cybernetics, anthropology, and psychology. The details are quite complicated. Chu Feng kept Mourinho's words firmly in his mind, feeling that there was more to be learned. After all, receiving one-on-one coaching from a top-level coach is a very luxurious experience. Before I knew it, an hour had passed. Before parting, Mourinho earnestly reminded him, "Chu, I have no doubts about your potential. But remember, for a professional athlete, not making progress means regressing. And the only way to prevent regression is through hard training. In this process, you'll face many temptations, food, indulgence, alcohol, laziness, and so on. I hope you won't become too obsessed with it. Otherwise, one day, when you fail to achieve what you should have achieved, it will be too late to regret it. Trust me, you must set higher standards for yourself." Mourinho has seen many talented players over the years. The vast majority of them failed to make it big and disappeared early on. Given his personality and habits, he wouldn't say much to the players. But when he saw how Chu Feng performed in training and daily life, he couldn't help but give him some advice. But that's all he could say. Everyone is an adult and must be responsible for their own actions. The gentle breezes blowing outside the window blew the boy's black hair away from his forehead. Chu Feng wore a bright smile, exuding the vibrant energy typical of young people. "Boss, don't worry. I have very high standards for myself." Chapter 15, selected for the 18-player roster. August 12. After more than a month of waiting, the Premier League season 17-18 has resumed. The opening match featured a clash between Arsenal and Leicester City. 2 years have passed since the latter achieved those miracles. Meanwhile, many of the team's star players have been poached, and the championship-winning coach, Ranieri, has left the team. Leicester City's overall strength has inevitably declined significantly. On the other hand, under the leadership of the refined and gentlemanly Wenger, Arsenal's league position has steadily improved since the 13-14 season. 4, 3, 2. What about 1? Sorry, but when it comes to letting people down, Arsenal has never failed to do so. While Arsenal fans were looking forward to winning the Premier League title in the 16-17 season, Arsenal not only failed to perform well in the spring, falling out of the title race, but also failed to secure a place in the Champions League. In the final match of last season's fight for 4th place, Arsenal faced Liverpool. Just 9 minutes into the match, Bellerin helped Arsenal take the lead with a header. In the 25th minute, Sanchez scored easily after receiving a pass from Verbeek. Against Arsenal, who have the 4th place bonus, the game seemed to have lost its suspense from the start. But there's no turning back, never for the Red Army. Liverpool seized a great opportunity, scoring 3 goals in a row to take the lead back. Arsenal fans are really suffering. Low points, hesitation, despair, no glimmer of hope in sight. As expected of an opening match, Arsenal scored a goal right at the start of the game. Just 2 minutes after celebrating, Leicester centre-back Maguire delivered a precise long pass to Keisuke Honda in the forward area. Honda then scored with a header. In the end, both teams scored 7 goals in total, with Giroud's final goal sealing the win. On the uncovered stands of the banners reading "Wenger out" could be seen everywhere. Although they won the match, Leicester City is a team that's mid to lower tier in the league. Naturally, Arsenal fans were dissatisfied with this result. The Premier League Big Six seemed to be affected by Arsenal's form. In the subsequent matches, Liverpool drew 3-3 with Watford, and Chelsea lost 2-3 to Burnley. Unexpectedly, neither team managed to get off to a good start. It wasn't until the next day that things returned to normal. Manchester City beat Brighton 2-0, and Tottenham beat Newcastle United 2-0. The final match of the first round of the Premier League was Manchester United's home game against West Ham United. Fate is truly ingenious in its ways. The youth teams of the two clubs just faced each other in a match. The Manchester United youth team won the game thanks to a goal scored by Chu Feng. 1 hour before the game starts. The Premier League's official website has updated the 18-man rosters for Manchester United and West Ham United. Goal Network is being transferred simultaneously. I'm not sure if it was the FA's intention, but the match coincided with a prime time period in China, starting at 11 p.m. sharp. According to official statistics, there are 1.2 billion Premier League fans worldwide, of whom 174 million are from China. Although it's not known whether there's any moisture inside, and if so, how much. The battle for rights to broadcast Premier League matches via new media has also come to an end. New England Sports, PPTV, and Luico Sports have each secured their own rights. As for Penguin Sports, negotiations regarding the distribution rights for the new Premier League season are still underway. For now, no rights have been acquired. However, most fans chose Le Sports, mainly because of those well-known football commentators, such as Jean Jun and Zhang Lu. The comments section went viral, with thousands of posts appearing in no time. Oi, Chu Feng made the final roster. Fortunately, I wasn't asleep. Otherwise, I would have missed it. Probably trying to get us to click by including Chu Feng on the main list, right? All I can say is, the greater the expectations, the greater the disappointment. Given Mourinho's personality, when his team is ahead, he definitely won't substitute in attacking players. Instead, he'll play a very conservative style. That's terrible. West Ham United isn't very strong, so the chances of Chu Feng playing are very low. Don't underestimate the Hammer Gang. They rob the rich to help the poor, and they target the big six companies. Although I'm a Manchester United fan, I still hope that Manchester United loses. Even if Chu Feng gets 1 minute of playing time, it's better than him sitting on the bench the whole game. TNND, I don't want to see Jean Jun switch to the training footage instead. Huaxia Bincheng. A breeze carrying the scent of the sea blew in. The old-fashioned ceiling fan made a creaking sound as it dispersed the stuffiness in the room. But Yan Lanxia still felt a bit anxious, so she opened the Goal Network app again on the center of her phone screen. She specifically asked Chu Chongjing to download it. She opens it several times a day to check on her son's latest updates. After the splash ad ended, 2 strikingly red headlines came into view. Manchester United announces squad for home match against West Ham United, Chinese player Chu Feng included. At 11 p.m. on August 13th, let's meet at Le Sports. Don't miss it. Gee, old Chu, come here quickly. What's the hurry? There's still half an hour before the game starts. How about you mop the floor instead? Chu Chongjing said irritably. What did you say? Yan Lanxia's eyes widened in surprise. He didn't say much. Although my son's name is on the team list, whether he'll actually get to play is another matter. It's better not to have too high expectations. Chu Chongjing's voice suddenly became 2 notches softer. Well then, as a father, you shouldn't wish harm upon your son. Instead, you're even cursing him so he can't compete. Yan Lanxia, being stubborn when she's in the right, also posted on WeChat, "Son, keep it up in the competition. Your dad and I are watching the live broadcast and cheering for you." They know nothing. Professional players aren't allowed to check their phones before games. Even if they try to send messages, it's pointless. Chu Chongjing rolled his eyes, unable to help but complain inwardly. But if he really had to say it out loud, he simply didn't have the courage. Just as Yan Lanxia finished typing, she looked up and saw that the TV screen flickered, and the live broadcast began. As the camera zoomed in, she saw the person who was all too familiar to her. She exclaimed, "Lao Chu, look. Is that our son?" Chu Chongjing leaned the mop against the wall and said with a smile, "That brat has grown taller again, and also gotten much darker in skin. It's all your fault. If you hadn't insisted that your son go abroad to play soccer, would he have ended up like this? I have no idea how much hardship I've endured." Yan Lanxia stared intently at her son's figure. Her nose stung with emotion, and her voice became choked with sobs. Upon hearing this, Chu Chongjing lowered his head and sighed silently. Meanwhile, Old Trafford. Chu Feng followed his teammates in completing the pre-game warm-up, then returned to the locker room to listen to the coach's tactical instructions. Although he couldn't start the game, at least he was selected for the team and had a chance to play as a substitute. Besides, even if I can't attend the game, I can just watch it for free from the VIP seats. Look at me everyone. During the 90 minutes of the match, you must become more ruthless, more like a bunch of bastards, but smart bastards. Remember, football isn't a game for gentlemen. Our main attacking focus should be shifted closer to the left flank, advancing by combining attacks from the flanks and the center. Mourinho quickly shook hands with the players to get their attention, then reiterated the tactics they had discussed a few days earlier. Finally, he shouted loudly, "Has everyone understood?" Understood. Chapter 16, Old Trafford, the theatre where dreams come true. Glory glory Man United. Glory glory Man United. Astridskamarkinganonan. Red flags everywhere transformed Old Trafford into a dreamlike theatre. The energetic Manchester United anthem makes it hard not to feel excited. Chu Feng was no exception either. He sat quietly in the bench, carefully observing the magnificent hall before him. For football players, there's nothing more satisfying than scoring a goal in front of tens of thousands of cheering fans. Chu Feng gently clenched his palm, setting a small goal for himself. To get past 0 in goals scored across my 5 major league competitions. As the players took their positions on the field, the starting lineups of both teams appeared on the LED screens along the sidelines. The stadium DJ announced each player's name with enthusiasm. For the sake of safety, Mourinho opted for his most successful and iconic formation, 4-2-3-1. At the very front is little Lukaku. The 3 central midfielders are Mata, Mkhitaryan, and Rashford. In the defensive midfield, Matic plays alongside Pogba. In the defensive line, from left to right, Valencia, Bailey, Phil Jones, and Brindley were lined up side by side. Meanwhile, West Ham United has sold many players during the summer transfer window. As a result, the team now only has players like Little P. Hernandez, the Argentine defender Sabolita, and goalkeeper Joe Hart who are relatively well known. The rest of the players are of average competence at best. However, their tactical approach is simple, they focus on intense physical confrontations and don't require many star players. It was this tough stance that motivated them to wield their hammers and embark on a journey of taking from the rich to help the poor, thereby upholding the principles of the working class. So, it's still uncertain who will win or lose today's match. Meanwhile, Le Sports broadcast studio. Jean Jun and Jean Lu sat side by side. After completing the preparatory work, they began their presentation. Good evening, dear viewers. Welcome to the first round of the 2017-18 Premier League season. Manchester United vs West Ham United. The most highly regarded young Chinese player, Chu Feng, was promoted to the first team the day before yesterday. He lived up to expectations by making the final roster. It's truly gratifying and exciting to see compatriots playing in the top 5 leagues. Coach Zhang, do you think Xiao Chu has a chance to play? Jean Jun carefully examined the document in his hands. It was titled, Summary of Chu Feng's Personal Data and Technical Characteristics. To prepare this document, he really went to great lengths. He not only watched numerous videos of the EFL League 2 matches, but also sought help from industry experts for analysis and data collection. I think there's still a chance. If you watch Manchester United's games from last season, you'll notice that Mourinho tends to make substitutions around the 75th minute. Usually, the players who get substituted are midfielders or forwards. Of course, provided that Manchester United can establish a significant advantage. Although in the eyes of the outside world, Zhang Lu is merely a supporting role, he actually has a very deep understanding of football. Not only is he familiar with the styles and strengths of each team, but he can also accurately predict their tactical approaches. During a certain World Cup, his prediction accuracy reached as high as 84.3%, attracting many fans who sought his predictions. Coach Zhang's analysis is very accurate. I believe that with Mourinho's coaching skills, it shouldn't be too difficult to gain an advantage. It's worth noting that in Porto, Chelsea, Inter Milan, and Real Madrid, he won the league championship in his second season as coach. This phenomenon has been dubbed Mo's 2-year rule by fans. And this year is his second year as Manchester United's manager. Last season, he led the team to victories in the Community Shield, League Cup, and Europa League. I hope he can continue like this. Alright, the match has begun. Manchester United takes the kick-off. On the green field. Manchester United played with patience and didn't rush into attacking. Instead, they firmly control the ball, drawing the opponent into their own half of the field in order to create space behind the opponent's defenders. This is where Manchester United's youth team's tactics originate from. Although West Ham United pressed strongly, they didn't achieve much in terms of results. Under Mourinho's guidance, the 4-2-3-1 formation has been taken to its peak, perfectly complementing his philosophy of football. The two defensive midfielders pulled back toward the defense line, while the fullbacks moved quickly to the flanks. This created several triangular passing patterns, allowing the team to easily counter the opponent's pressure from high positions. However, West Ham United's coach, Bilic, isn't incompetent either. He makes sure the team maintains its formation as much as possible during aggressive pressing. As a result, the situation became stale, with neither side able to create many good opportunities. As the ball is passed back and forth, time keeps passing. By the side of the court, Mourinho wore a classic light grey trench coat, with his arms crossed and a serious expression on his face. In his tactical plan, it's necessary to get the players in the right mindset early in the game, while also understanding the opponent's tactics. 30 minutes is when it actually starts up. Chu Feng and Ibu sat on the bench, with Ibu sharing his experience based on the situation on the field. Lukaku is such an idiot. Why didn't he run to the left? The area there was completely empty. Rashford makes poor decisions when it comes to choosing the right moment to break through. You must never copy him. It must be said that Chu Feng was very lucky. He had Mourinho as his coach earlier in his career, and Ibrahimović later on. Both of them gave him personal training. Chu Feng considered the situation on the field, putting himself in the player's shoes. He quickly understood IB's intentions and turned them into his own knowledge. Is this also one of the benefits of using templates, improving the ability to learn football-related thinking? As the two talked, the game time quietly reached 33 minutes. In West Ham United's offensive play, Obiang received a pass from a teammate, with Matic quickly moving in to support. Under heavy interference, Obi Mikel made a mistake and passed the ball to Rashford, who then rushed forward with the ball. Manchester United's offensive onslaught was relentless. Matic's forward pass caught the attention of several defenders. Rashford saw the opening and quickly passed the ball straight into the center of the penalty area. Gee, what a great pass! Lukaku. The little magical beast cleverly moved sideways to create a one-on-one opportunity. Facing the clueless Johart, he calmly shot the ball to the left side of the goal. The football slipped past the left post and into West Ham United's goal, creating waves of white foam in the air. Lukaku's celebration was quite strange. The Belgian young man stood at attention and saluted. But no one really cares, because Manchester United fans are all waving their flags frantically. Old Trafford. It was like setting off waves of chaos, accompanied by deafening cheers. After the game resumed, Manchester United retreated in formation, tightened up the midfield area, and established a solid defensive structure. The intention is obvious. I'm going to launch a counterattack. Will you attack in return? West Ham United had no choice. For a pragmatic team like them, losing one goal is no different from losing 100 goals, in either case, the result is 0 points. However, under Manchester United's fierce defense, West Ham United not only failed to equalize the score, but also almost conceded another goal in a counterattack. As time passed, and fans were still not satisfied, the referee blew the whistle to end the first half of the game. Chapter 17, Substitutes take the field. During the halftime break, Mourinho gave a brief review of the game, then told the players to rest as much as possible. Since the pace and direction of the game are already under control, there's no need for further adjustments. Otherwise, it would only serve to be unnecessary meddling. After being a coach for so many years, Mourinho should understand this basic principle. As the halftime break neared, he reiterated the tactical approach once more, warning Manchester United's players not to be overly clever or try to do things on their own. Because of his coaching philosophy, which emphasizes absolute control over the team, everyone must follow his instructions. Of course, this doesn't mean that players must act according to rigid doctrines and become slaves to tactics. You can express your creativity, but you need to find a balance between tactics and individuality. In short, it's a very complicated situation. Most players don't have the ability to handle it. Mourinho can only impose restrictions through a strict tactical framework. After the second half began, the intensity of the game increased due to adjustments made by the coaches of both teams. Manchester United centre-back Bailey and West Ham United's right-back Sabolita each received a yellow gem card. In the 53rd minute, Mkhitaryan received a through ball from Matic. He broke through in the middle of the field and skillfully passed the ball into the penalty area. Lukaku is in great form, scoring with a header and netting his second goal of the match. 2 o'clock. Old Trafford instantly became a place of extreme contrasts, filled with both sorrow and joy. Red Devils fans were overjoyed, while Iron Hammer Gang fans were disheartened. With a 2-goal lead, Mourinho wisely decided to focus on defense, as winning the match was far more important than playing beautifully. In the next 20 minutes, neither team was able to make any significant moves. It seems likely that our young player Chu Feng won't be able to take the field. But there's still plenty of time left. I believe. Jean Jun stared at the time ticking away in the upper left corner of the screen, trying to suppress his disappointment. Suddenly, he saw the edges of the screen. Mourinho was walking toward the bench. The seed of anticipation in his heart began to grow wildly, and he could no longer remain calm. Mourinho stood in front of the bench, staring at the players with an expressionless face. After nearly 75 minutes of intense play, Rashford's stamina declined significantly, leaving him unable to carry out the planned tactics. He needed to pick a left-wing forward to replace the starter. Without a doubt, Marcel was the perfect choice. But it's not the most suitable option. When Mourinho saw those eyes, full of unreserved eagerness and anticipation, his resolve grew even stronger. Fellaini, Chu, you two hurry up and get warm up. Mourinho said in a deep voice. Yes, coach. Chu Feng's hands clenched tightly. He had seized the opportunity he'd longed for. After saying that, he stood up and went to the warm-up area, performing the exercises with great precision. Martial kept his head lowered, with a gloomy expression on his face. Clearly, he's more skilled and better suited to the team. Why not just take the field yourself? As the Russian World Cup approaches, the French team is once again considered a strong contender for the championship. If he continues to sit on the bench, he might miss the only opportunity he'll ever have in his life. Thinking of this, Martial secretly raised his head and glared resentfully at Mourinho's back. Pretentious and hypocritical. Not only was he deprived of his number 9 jersey, but he was also prevented from playing without any reason. Meanwhile, Le Sport's live streaming room. Manchester United is about to make a substitution. The substitute player is warming up. Jean Jun was extremely nervous, hoping to get through this period peacefully. Because if there are significant changes in the situation on the field, such as Manchester United scoring or conceding a goal, Mourinho might choose to make different adjustments. In football matches, it's common for players who have warmed up to not get the chance to play and instead have to return to the bench. Here we go, West Ham's corner kick. The fourth official raises the LED board. Number 27 Fellaini replaces number 8 Mata, and number 23 Chu Feng replaces number 19 Rashford. Chu Feng. His debut in the Premier League. After 9 years, a Chinese player is finally back in the Premier League. At crucial moments of the match, Mourinho didn't choose Martial. This shows how much the coaching staff trusts Chu Feng. Hopefully, Chu Feng won't feel too much pressure and can perform at his normal level. Jean Jun excitedly opened the folder beside him and continued, as a winger, Chu Feng may not be very strong in physical confrontation, but he has excellent footwork. Listening to the voices coming from the television, Yan Lanxia excitedly patted Chu Changjing on the back and said proudly, "See? My son is the best. Sis, where have we even come to? Is there really any need to get so excited?" Chu Changjing took a sharp breath and poured a basin of cold water over himself. Yan Lanxia let out a light snort, ignored him, and continued to watch the TV intently. Heh. Old men just talk tough. At this moment, in countless places across China, people were cheering and expressing their support through messages. Chu Feng, keep going. We've waited too long for this moment. 10 years ago, Chinese players scored a total of 4 goals in the Premier League. And now, that figure remains unchanged. Hopefully, Chu Feng can carry on this legacy and create new history. It's a bit difficult to score on my debut. Let's start with an assist to get the hang of it. They're just some thugs who showed up here. Don't get so excited. I don't care. I love Uncle Bird so much. In the Premier League, even leading by 2 goals at 85 minutes isn't a guarantee of victory. Moreover, with Mata being taken off, Manchester United's offensive intensity will surely decrease. Mourinho chose Chu Feng precisely to strengthen the offense, a crucial tactical decision. How come, in your words, it becomes nothing more than a guy who just shows up on the field? Great spray. What's the point of saying all that? If you're capable, then score a goal. By the side of the court. Help blind with defending the flanks. During attacks, take advantage of the field's width to move to the flanks. West Ham United's right back already has 1 yellow card. Be bold and try to break through. Mourinho put his hand on Chu Feng's shoulder and clearly stated his demands. Lately, after daily training sessions, one person always stays behind. And it seemed like he had developed a habit of going to the window during breaks from work, just to take a look at that boy. Chu Feng took a deep breath and nodded firmly. He was fully aware of the immense pressure that Mourinho was putting on himself by choosing him for the role. If he didn't perform well, both of them would face criticism from the media and fans. Perhaps Mourinho won't care. But he didn't want to, nor could he let down the other person's expectations. Chu Feng felt the weight on his shoulders and slightly raised his head. Looking at the red color that resembled flames, listening to the cheers that sounded like waves, the air around seemed to freeze completely. Every pore on his body opened wide, and an indescribable sensation overcame him. Finally, I've taken the first step. After Rashford was substituted off, Mourinho repeated the tactical instructions once again. He gave Chu Feng a firm pat on the shoulder and pushed him onto the field. Go ahead. Chapter 18, No, he's just like us, he's also a Chinese person. The game has restarted. West Ham United's manager, Bilic, made bold moves, taking advantage of Manchester United's adjustment period after making substitutions, and directed his team to launch fierce attacks. During the ball-less phases, Manchester United stopped pressing the opposing team's defenders who held the ball, allowing the team to quickly switch formations. Lukaku pulls back to form the first choking line, with the attacking midfielder, preventing the opponent's defensive players from advancing towards the center of the field. Chu Feng and Mkhitaryan moved forward from their wing positions to join the midfield, forming a 4-player line parallel to the 2 defensive midfielders. Under Manchester United's tight and solid 3-tier defense, West Ham United's attack struggled to get anywhere. We can see that Chu Feng is very active in his running, which can largely compensate for his weaknesses in defensive skills. Given the current situation, he doesn't need to worry about balancing physical exertion. Matic, great ball-winning move, passed the ball straight to the left flank. Chu Feng received the pass and quickly assessed the situation. Sabolita rushed at his opponent fiercely from behind, not giving him any chance to turn around. At the peak of his career, he was one of the most balanced left-backs in Europe. He played a key role in helping Manchester City win 3 Premier League titles and Argentina win the World Cup runner-up title. But as he got older, and considering that the tactics didn't suit Guardiola, he went from being a regular starter to a substitute player. He had no choice but to leave Manchester City reluctantly and join West Ham United. By the way, he has a very poor impression of Chinese players. During the pre-season friendly matches, he got into a fierce argument with Zhang Yuning of Werder Bremen, and almost came to blows. With his racing experience, stealing the ball from a rookie player should be a piece of cake, right? Zabaleta extended her long legs with lightning speed. Seeing that he had missed the opportunity to make a breakthrough, Chu Feng decisively chose to pass the ball back. There's no need to take a forceful approach. It's a much more prudent approach. Many young players, when they first step onto the field, tend to be overconfident. They act recklessly on their own, only to end up giving the ball back to the opponent. The ball is at Martic's feet. As a former player of Mourinho's, he quickly established himself as a key player in the midfield after joining Manchester United during the summer transfer window. He plays an important role in both the offensive and defensive aspects of the team. Jean Jun tried to remain objective, but couldn't help but analyze Chu Feng's behavior before offering praise. It's like going back to the time when I first started my career as a commentator. There are only 5 minutes left until the end of regular time. West Ham United players failed to regain possession of the ball, becoming increasingly anxious. In the back, Obiang and Noble moved forward significantly. To maintain the team's formation, the two fullbacks were forced to move inward. West Ham United has to go all in. After several passes, the ball ended up back at Martiquez's feet. He doesn't have a beastly waist, but rather an iron-willed waist, a gracefully strong waist. Especially in terms of organizing passes in the middle and defensive areas, it's undoubtedly world-class. With his wide field of vision, Martic quickly identified gaps in the opponent's formation and passed the ball decisively. Snap! The football rolls swiftly across the grass. Precise pass, found Pogba on the left flank. West Ham players are pressing too hard. Why aren't they passing the ball faster? Pogba has a showy personality. But he understood that there were things one couldn't go too far with. Otherwise, given Mourinho's personality, he'd be sent to the bench without any hesitation. He's waiting. Wait until Sabolita is in a more interior position. Wait for that Chinese kid to get into place too. Just as the encirclement was about to be completed, Pogba swung his leg quickly and struck the football with force. Snap! The football soared into the air, like a brilliant rainbow, before falling towards the left side of the field. Thanks to Pogba's presence, Chu Feng wasn't disturbed at all and had plenty of space to handle the ball. Chu Feng steadily brought the ball in front of him, then suddenly accelerated, driving toward the baseline. He felt as though his soul had left his body, hovering on the boundary between extreme calmness and excitement. After realizing he had been tricked, Sabolita ran straight toward the penalty area to save time on defending. In the blink of an eye, Chu Feng carried the ball to the left side of the large penalty area. Due to Manchester United's tactical approach, not many players were involved in this counterattack. It was just the four of them, themselves, Lukaku, Mkhitaryan, and Pogba. West Ham United players employed man-to-man marking, closely guarding each attacking player. There must be a breakthrough point. Chu Feng gradually slowed down, keeping his right foot in constant contact with the ball. Zabaleta stood in their way, blocking their path. After seeing Chu Feng's actions, he almost laughed out loud. This young man from Huaxia wants to surpass me? Back when he was on the Argentine national team, even Messi wouldn't dare say he could get past me 100% of the time. What do you even think you are? By the side of the court. Mourinho stared intently at the figure inside the penalty area. As a winger, you don't have to get past opponents, but you must be able to do so when necessary. Come on, prove it to the whole world. On the other hand, West Ham United's manager, Bilic, kept rubbing his forehead, seemingly not paying much attention to it. He's just a young player sent over by Manchester United to gain experience. What kind of threat could he possibly pose? Not far behind him, Rice, who had been promoted to the first team, sat upright, breathing more and more rapidly. Under the gaze of everyone. The distance between the two people is getting closer and closer. Chu Feng put the noisy distractions behind him, seemingly entering the state he was in every day when practicing dribbling in front of the training pad. The upper body moves quickly, then the ball is suddenly flicked to the right, as if to make a move inside and break through. Zabaleta reacted quickly. Instead of taking reckless actions with his feet, he used movement to get into the right position. A very cautious defensive move. But immediately afterwards, his movements froze, and countless questions popped into his mind. When did that Chinese kid shift his weight to his left foot? In this very moment. Saboleta lost his balance, but he could take the risk of drawing a card and fight sideways. Is it worth paying the price of a red card and a suspension for a game with extremely low odds of winning, and for a goal that might not even be scored? While he hesitated, Chu Feng's movements were seamless, combining perfect balance and ball control as he smoothly hit the ball toward the inside. Seeing this, Johart quickly moved over, ready to make a save. He doesn't want to always be in the background. Old Trafford was like a bomb with a fuse lit, counting down to its explosion. Manchester United fans couldn't help but cover their mouths, afraid of making the slightest sound. Lukaku let out a sound like a pig being slaughtered. Here. 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 Chu Feng isn't deaf at all, so of course he can hear it. In Joe Hart's desperate gaze. On the 23rd, Manchester United played a delicate through ball in a triangular formation. Lukaku got past the defenders with ease and scored effortlessly into an empty net. He's a great spokesperson for happy football. But it's not like no one will enter the monastery at all. Whoa! When the football crossed the goal line, Old Trafford erupted like an explosion, with a deafening roar that seemed to take on physical form. On the Sir Alex Ferguson stand, the Sir Bobby Charlton stand, and the Stratford stand, tens of thousands of Manchester United fans stood up, trembling with excitement, waving their arms and shouting wildly. Who's that guy wearing jersey number 23? Is he Korean? Are we about to get another Park Ji-sung? Some Manchester United players asked in confusion during the celebration. Among them, a group of fans with black hair and yellow skin looked at each other, holding their heads high, their voices filled with pride. No, he's just like us, he's also a Chinese. Chapter 19 Lukaku, give it to me. Lusports live streaming room. Chu Feng. Chu Feng, spiked the ball towards the inside. Beautiful, it's gone now. The inverted triangle pass reached the goal, and Lukaku scored from an open net. The ball's in the net. The goal's scored. In the 87th minute of the match, Lukaku scored the goal that secured the win. Manchester United 3-0 West Ham United. Jean Jun stared at the image on the screen. Instinctively, he stood up and quickly grabbed the microphone that had slipped away. Zhang Lu chuckled twice, his face showing a complex expression. He continued, a newborn calf isn't afraid of tigers. Chu Feng used a brilliant shoulder turn to get past Sabolita, creating a great scoring opportunity for his teammates. Although for Manchester United, who were 2 goals ahead, this goal was just the icing on the cake, it still proves Chu Feng's abilities. He's not as poor as some people claim. Here, I hope that football fans will be patient, so that we can create a better environment for their growth. As China's national football team's chances of qualifying for the World Cup become increasingly slim, public opinion at home is growing more intense, and it's starting to affect young players as well. Zhang Lu watched with concern and anxiety. After entering the commentary industry, he began working on youth football training and promoting football as a sport. But over the years, the results have been minimal. Because one person's strength is too weak. The real problem with Chinese football is the lack of a solid foundation. It's like trying to grow a tree without roots or water to nourish it. It's not that I don't want to change. Instead, most people make money from this system. No one dares to touch others' pie. Everyone just goes with the flow, while Chinese football continues to decline. Now, we need someone with more influence. Although I'm not sure if it'll be effective, it's still better than doing nothing at all. Congratulations to Xiao Chu on his first assist in the 5 major league competitions of his career. It's a great start to his season. I hope he continues to perform well in the future. Yan Lanxia listened to the voices coming from the TV, glanced at the screen of her phone filled with compliments, and her face was covered with a happy smile, like the warm sunshine of spring. Old Chu, do you admit defeat? Understood. Chu Changzheng's gaze remained fixed on the screen as he muttered involuntarily. On the field. Lukaku was like a wild rhinoceros, charging around in all directions. Hat trick. How long has it been since he scored 3 goals in a row in a club match? 1 year. Do you know how I spent this year? He suddenly remembered something important and rushed back. Glancing at Chu Feng's jersey, he grinned and shouted, "Great, Chu Feng." Chu Feng's expression instantly became vacant. What the hell is this? After he realized what had happened, the corners of his mouth twitched non-stop. Romelu, there's no need to force yourself. Just call me Chu instead. It's okay, I won't force you. I really like Chinese, Chu Feng. Lukaku didn't care at all and warmly put his arm around Chu Feng's shoulders. To someone who can give me assists, it wouldn't be excessive to call them Dad. Chu Feng didn't correct the other person's strange accent anymore. Let me teach you another Chinese phrase, give it and you're done. What do you mean? Lukaku touched his smooth, shiny forehead and asked in confusion. It means my position is great, I can score whenever the ball comes my way. Chu Feng imagined the scene of Lukaku spreading his arms wide and shouting, just give it to me. He could barely hold back his laughter. Lukaku's eyes sparkled as he repeated the words over and over again to reinforce his memory. Just give it, just give it. Under the urging of the referee, Manchester United players ended their celebration ahead of time. The game has restarted. Bilic glanced at Rice on the bench and gave up the idea of bringing him on. With so little time left in the match, it's difficult for West Ham United to equalize the score. Therefore, having young players make their debuts in such a situation is not a good decision. However, Manchester United's player number 23 who just took the field was truly unexpected. He wasn't afraid at all and was even bold enough to take risks on the field. What a hassle. Bilic rubbed the bridge of his nose and ordered West Ham United to step up their attacks. He certainly didn't want to lose the game in such a humiliating manner. The situation on the green field is constantly changing. West Ham United players rushed en masse into the opposing half, leaving only 3 defenders behind. Their plan was simple, score a goal to save face. Regular time has ended. The referee awarded only 3 minutes of injury time. As long as Manchester United can hold on, they'll win this match. West Ham United advance down the middle. Anatovic delivers a cross to the edge of the penalty area. Hernandez shoots overhead. Beautiful. De Gea. Great save. Saved the goal. Last season, Manchester United raised De Gea's weekly salary to £200,000 in order to keep him at the club. As a result, De Gea became the world's best-paid goalkeeper. On the sidelines, Mourinho looked extremely dissatisfied. He kept waving his hands back, signaling to the team to strengthen their defense. Even when holding a substantial lead, one must not let down their guard until the end of the game. Because football is round, anything can happen on the green field. Who knows if the score might be reversed in just 3 minutes. Manchester United's players regained their composure, played more defensively, and managed to withstand West Ham United's fierce attacks. As the game neared its end, West Ham United launched an attack down the left flank. Masuaku, who moved forward along the flank, received the ball and passed it sideways, delivering a low cross. Manchester United's formation remained stable despite this. Phil Jones stepped in decisively, pushing the ball away before Hernandez could shoot. Manchester United fans stood up again, eager to see what would happen next. Matic truly lives up to being called Iron Waist. Forcing through against the defender, he swept his left leg sharply, kicking the ball toward the left flank. Zabaleta didn't rush to attack, he stayed firmly in position. It's not fear. He really hopes that Chu Feng will carry the ball himself, because this will slow down Manchester United's offensive rhythm, giving their own players more time to defend. But Chu Feng isn't some inexperienced rookie who just started out. How could he make such a basic mistake? He quickly looked up and noticed an opening on the right side. Mkhitaryan was running towards there. So, the body tilted slightly, assuming the posture for passing the ball. It was too late for Zabaleta to try to interfere anymore. Bang! The football traces a beautiful arc as it moves through the air. Although the accuracy isn't on the centimeter level, it's still sufficient. Mkhitaryan stopped and started along the way. Without any interference, his various abilities improved dramatically, allowing him to make precise passes right in front of the goal. I'll give it to you right away. Lukaku was like a raging warrior. With a loud roar, he charged forward with great speed. Joe Hart was utterly disheartened, with a look of despair on his face, as he watched the football fly into the net. 4-0. Manchester United fans jumped for joy and sang the team's anthem in unison. Under such tremendous noise, dust particles rose from the stands on all sides, drifting slowly away under the spotlight. With one push, one can succeed, with a second push, strength wanes, with a third push, all effort is exhausted. The frustration in West Ham United players' hearts vanished with that goal, and they started the play in a dazed manner. Ultimately. Beep beep beep. The referee blew the whistle to signal the end of the game. Chapter 20, Hang Up. Old Trafford, some are happy, some are sad. Manchester United fans were overjoyed. Not only did they win the match, but they also won by a huge 4-goal margin, providing everyone with an utterly satisfying experience from start to finish. Since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, Manchester United has had 3 different managers in 4 years. To this day, the team hasn't won the Premier League title. Last season, they finished 6th in the league. So, before the match started, Manchester United fans didn't have very high expectations. But today, the team's performance was truly unexpected. Not only was there no issue with their offensive execution, but their defense was also much better than usual. The future looks promising. On the other hand, West Ham United fans looked like eggplants hit by frost, heads bowed, listless and dispirited. They were suppressed throughout the entire match, with hardly any chance to break through the defense. On the green field, Lukaku's mouth twitched all the way to his ears. I remembered that line. Say it 2 more times. Let me think. Boiling soup means forcing a breakthrough through speed. Chu Feng smiled bitterly and shook his head, choosing a word at random. In the end, he asked doubtfully, the referee is about to leave. Why don't you go get the ball needed for the game? Lukaku woke up as if from a dream and rushed over immediately. Last season, he scored 25 goals for Everton, ranking 2nd on the scorers list, behind Harry Kane's 29 goals. So, before joining Manchester United, he set himself a small goal, to score 30 goals. Today, I scored 4 goals in just 1 match. That's almost 1/7 of my goal. How can I not be satisfied? In the future, I need to build a good relationship with that Huasha kid. Maybe I can win the Golden Boot award this season. Ibu patted each player on the shoulder, as if to commend their efforts. Then he went over to Chu Feng and said in a domineering tone, don't be envious. As long as you train hard with me from now on, scoring 4 goals will be easy. Then I'll have to work harder. Chu Feng showed off his biceps as a joke. Ibu curled his lips in disdain, rolled up his sleeves, revealing his well-defined muscles. While the two were talking, Valencia, Matic, Mata, and others gathered around them. Today's performance was really good. Much better than mine back in those days. Indeed, you only managed to score 1 assist after playing half a season, right? Get lost. You're not any better. The atmosphere in Manchester United's locker room is very friendly these days. As a player making his debut, Chu Feng naturally received encouragement from his senior teammates. Chu Feng didn't act spoiled or arrogant, but replied to everyone with humility. It seems that having you take the field was the right decision. Mourinho had a sharp gaze and gave Chu Feng's shoulder a firm pat. Previously, since none of the existing left-wingers in the team met the tactical requirements, he was extremely worried about this issue. And today, Chu Feng's performance helped him find the solution to the problem. Although Chu Feng's strength still needs to be improved. But he had seen many players who underwent remarkable transformations during the course of a game. For example, Diego Milito, Drogba, Eschen, and so on. Mourinho believes that Chu Feng, with his hard-working attitude and sufficient talent, can also achieve ultimate self-improvement. But the young ones still need to be coached a bit more. So he said in a serious tone, there are still some details that you haven't handled properly. Go back and watch them carefully, then come to me for a review. Remember, if you want to make progress, you must properly handle those seemingly insignificant little problems. Okay, coach. Chu Feng immediately stopped smiling. He felt like he might be under some kind of manipulation by the CPU, but there was no evidence to support it. After a while, Manchester United players returned to the locker room, while Mourinho went to attend the post-match press conference. Mr. Mourinho, what's your opinion on the performances of both teams in today's match? A Guardian journalist raised his hand to ask a question. I'm very satisfied with the players' performance. Especially during the first 10 to 40 minutes, we kept putting pressure on them. They had no chance to counterattack at all. In the second half, West Ham United improved their offensive play. We lost a little control of the game, but the substitutions we made later helped us regain control of the situation. When talking about Chu Feng's issue, Mourinho frowned. He didn't want the young players to be exposed to the media too early, as that would only be harmful rather than beneficial. I'll answer your question from another perspective. In my opinion, young players are a bit like melons. You can only truly determine their quality after you open them and try them. Sometimes, melons with attractive exteriors actually don't taste very good. And some melons may have an unattractive appearance, but when you open them, you'll find that their taste is excellent. The Sun's reporters had a keen sense for detail. They picked up on the nuance in his words and asked, "Are you saying that Chu has an unattractive appearance?" Mourinho had no expression on his face. He had no fondness for English media at all. He simply ignored such trivial and pointless questions, got up, and headed for the exit. The reporters in the audience exchanged glances. Same recipe, same taste. Not far away, Bilic gently rested his hand on his forehead while answering the reporters' questions in a proper manner. He knew that Mourinho's confidence stemmed from his own strength. If they didn't have the skills to do this, they'd have been completely blasted by the media by now. Carlton Training Base. The moon is bright, but the stars are few. Due to the time difference, Chu Feng didn't call his parents to share the good news. After a quick wash, I found the video recording of the match and watched the footage from 70 minutes ago again and again. From a divine perspective, it's easy to identify one's own shortcomings, such as positioning during attacks, running routes, and ball handling techniques. Chu Feng kept pausing the video and jotting down any deficiencies in his notebook. Good things take time. As long as one keeps summarizing and making conscious corrections, one's skills will definitely improve over time. To be honest, the competition within Manchester United is fierce. Just on the left wing, there's Rashford, Martial, Lingard, and possibly Sanchez as well. With my current abilities, I can at most serve as a substitute. Even a slight mistake could result in me being dropped from the team roster. So much pressure. Chu Feng felt his breathing becoming rapid, so he shouted in a deep voice. "Hang it up." A glowing panel appeared. Dribbling, 79.85, 97. Passing, 69.94, 83. Shooting, 70.56, 95. Module, Matthews, shoulder pass, module. Thanks to his relentless efforts recently, all of his attributes have been steadily improving. Seeing the data increase with his own eyes was such a positive feedback that it was hard to resist. Chu Feng couldn't wait to go down and train right away. Suddenly, the cold, mechanical voice of the system echoed in his ears. Ding! Main quest activated, score your first goal in a professional career in one of the 5 major leagues. Mission reward, golden treasure chest. Chu Feng fell into deep thought once again. What are the prerequisites for activating a task? As Chu Feng thought about these things, he fell asleep. Chapter 21, Ibra's special training and Mourinho's requirements. Meanwhile, the Chinese football fan community is incredibly lively. They had waited for this moment for far too long. Now, all the pent-up frustration and anger has finally dissipated. Although it was just an insignificant assist for Manchester United. But for Chinese football fans, it represents someone who has taken on that heavy legacy, meaning that the Chinese people will no longer be absent from the top levels of football. All major sports media have reported on this match. Terrorist Mu has returned after 2 years, aiming for the Premier League championship. After the first round of the Premier League, Manchester United 4-0 West Ham United. Our young player came on as a substitute and made a crucial assist. Everything is ready, just need the winger, the last piece to complete the championship puzzle. Some domestic media will stop at nothing to gain traffic. All kinds of mindless flattery. The chaos and poor state of Chinese football can be partly attributed to them. Fortunately, most fans are objective. They express their thoughts on websites like Hupu, forums, and other online communities. Those media outlets are disgusting. Isn't this just trying to make someone successful at all costs? I hope that Xiao Chu won't become arrogant because of this, and will continue to train diligently. I watched Chu Feng's video interview. He seems pretty steady and reliable. I don't think he'd do something like that. What needs to be played must be played. That shoulder movement is truly outstanding, seamless and graceful. If Sabolita didn't have a yellow card, he wouldn't have hesitated to make aggressive moves. Chu Feng definitely wouldn't have been able to get past him. Dash, you just said you didn't pass, didn't you? It's a shame Xiao Chu didn't score. I think it was pretty good. His performance in the match was average, but overall he met the basic standards. There were also a few bright spots here and there. After all, this was Chu Feng's professional debut. That's right, keep making progress slowly. Manchester United's next 3 opponents, Swansea, Leicester City, and Stoke City, are all mid to lower tier teams in the league. Therefore, Chu Feng has a high chance of playing in these matches. There's the Champions League soon. Hope Manchester United gets a good draw. Weren't Manchester United 6th in the league last season? How did they still qualify for the Champions League? UEFA League champion. Chinese fans debated intensely all night long. Chu Feng got up from bed early, and began his recovery training in the thin morning mist. He's very aware of his own abilities. Without a proper system in place, it's difficult for him to establish himself as a regular player, given his talent. Now that I have this opportunity, I must work hard. While jogging, Chu Feng reflected on the details that he hadn't executed properly during the competition, trying to engrave them deeper in his memory. To be honest, he was quite satisfied with his performance yesterday. The only downside is that, according to the contract's bonus accumulation clause, any bonuses related to assists are included in the fixed salary for the following year. It would be great if the money could be given out right after the game. Step, step, step. Chu Feng maintained a steady pace. In a corner unnoticed by him, a tall figure stood there for a long time. After the jog is over, Chu Feng went back to his dormitory to tidy up a bit, then returned to the training ground. He found that his teammates were already there. Perhaps the victory in the game boosted everyone's enthusiasm. Since we played a match yesterday, today's training wasn't very intense. The main focus was on stretching the muscles and maintaining ball control. Mourinho stood on the sidelines, expressionless, his gaze fixed on the green field. A middle-aged man with thinning hair was leading the players in their warm-up exercises. His name is Carlos Leyland. He's currently the fitness coach at Manchester United. He followed Mourinho from Real Madrid to Chelsea, and then from Chelsea to Manchester United. The two of them are old teammates. Your flexibility is terrible. From now on, come to the gym half an hour earlier every day. I'll give you special training. After seeing Chu Feng's actions, Ibrahimović spoke out in dissatisfaction. Okay. Chu Feng was momentarily stunned, then quickly replied, though he couldn't help but wonder inwardly. Is Ibra being too nice to him? Although Ibra is considered the big brother within Manchester United and takes care of younger players, it shouldn't go to such extremes. Chu Feng couldn't think of an answer, so he didn't pay much attention to it. Maybe I'm actually likable after all. Ibrahimović nodded in satisfaction upon hearing this. He arrived at the base early this morning to pick up his sneakers. On the training field, he saw that lonely person. I can't help but think of my own childhood, beer cans, empty refrigerators, Yugoslavian pop music, and the Balkan Wars. How many times did he return home, praying that there would be something edible in the fridge? But no, nothing at all. Later, because hockey equipment was too expensive, he switched to playing football. After being mocked by his teammates for being a goalkeeper, he changed positions to forward. When playing football with those Yugoslavs, Turks, and Somalis, one had to become stronger in order not to be looked down upon by others and to maintain dignity. So during the early years of his career, he trained alone, had dinner alone, and went home early, appearing quite lonely. If someone asked him why he helped Chu Feng, I'm more than willing. Besides, a player who resembles one's idol definitely can't be that weak. The morning training ended quickly. Chu, come with me for a moment. Mourinho waved his hand, signaling the players to move around on their own, then turned and walked toward the office building. Chu Feng quickly packed up his equipment and ran after him. Suddenly, he felt like he was being randomly checked on his homework by the teacher. Nervousness and anticipation intertwined in his heart. Did you go over the game from yesterday? Share your thoughts. Mourinho opened his laptop, switched to the video recording, and pushed it toward Chu Feng. Firstly, the player wasn't decisive enough when handling the ball on the first touch, which disrupted the overall rhythm and the teamwork with teammates. Chu Feng pondered for a moment, then, based on the video footage on the computer, detailed the areas that needed improvement as identified last night. As Mourinho listened to Chu Feng's voice, his eyes grew even brighter. Ideal player. It's not about individual ability, but rather this clear understanding. Only by clearly understanding one's own strengths and weaknesses can one make progress as quickly as possible. Mourinho has no doubt that if Chu Feng is given enough time, he will definitely be able to establish himself in the top 5 leagues, and perhaps even reach even greater heights. 15 minutes later. Mourinho tapped the table gently with his fingers, lost in thought. In his view, it's necessary to truly understand each player's nature, and then communicate and provide feedback to them based on that understanding. But he couldn't quite figure out the young man before him. The methods of frustration education that he usually used wouldn't work in this case. After a moment of silence, Mourinho looked up at Chu Feng and said in a deep voice, "You're right. Let me discuss things with you from a tactical perspective. Currently, the team's main tactics revolve around the center forward. Therefore, what's most needed is a winger who can break through the defense and get to the bottom of the box, or one who can deliver accurate crosses at a 45-degree angle. You're doing well with what you've done so far." Mourinho didn't finish his sentence, but his meaning was clear enough. Chu Feng's gaze became solemn as he said softly, "Coach, I understand. I'm thinking about who in the team is good at crossing the ball. I'll learn from them during my free time. Valencia, or Carrick. It seems like both of them are easy to talk to. They probably won't refuse. By the way, in the upcoming matches, I'll try my best to give you as much playing time as possible. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to ask me anytime. There's no need to be shy." A smile appeared on Mourinho's face. It's pleasant to talk to smart people. Back when he coached Inter Milan, he told Balotelli not to commit fouls. Yet, Balotelli got a red card in the 46th minute. It's completely impossible to communicate normally. Chapter 22, The Swansea Bus. Time flew by, and it was already August 19th. Wales, Swansea, White Hart Stadium. The second round of the Premier League is in full swing, with Swansea hosting Manchester United at home. Since Cardiff City was relegated to the Championship in the 13-14 season, Swansea has become Wales' only team currently playing in the Premier League. Naturally, it receives a lot of attention from local fans. Due to Wales and England's complex, millennia-long conflicts, the relationship between their fans is extremely strained. This tension is evident even on the football fields. As soon as the game started, both teams engaged in fierce competition, desperately battling for the ball. Standing by the pitch was Swansea's head coach, Bradley, who had just led the team through a tough relegation battle last season. Because of his generally cautious coaching style, even though they were playing at home today, he still ordered the team to play a defensive approach. They not only piled players at the edge of the penalty area, cutting off Lukaku's connection with his teammates. Moreover, 2 fast forwards were positioned in the forward area, ready to launch quick counterattacks as soon as the team cleared the ball. As a result, Manchester United's midfield and defense players dared not push forward too much, as they had to concentrate on defending instead. Thus, the situation became deadlocked. In the 26th minute of the match, Pogba received a yellow card for overreacting after losing the ball. Swansea's fans were very aggressive, making various gestures toward the players on the field in an attempt to provoke Manchester United's players. On the sidelines, Mourinho pressed his hands downward, signaling to his players to stay calm and continue to attack, while creating more set pieces. Someone once said something to him. When the caravan passed by, a group of dogs started barking loudly. Look at those dogs, they could only bark loudly, but the caravan kept moving forward anyway. From then on, Mourinho never cared about his opponent's doubts anymore. He simply responded with cold, hard facts. Not far behind him, Chu Feng and IB were sitting side by side, seriously discussing the match. They're both substitutes again. However, the reasons are completely different. The former lacks sufficient strength, while the latter hasn't recovered from injuries. Chu Feng wasn't particularly affected by it. After receiving Mourinho's assurance that morning, he focused his mind and dedicated himself to training. During that time, He also went to Carrick with a gift, asking if Carrick could share some tips on playing long passes. Faced with the requests of his diligent younger colleagues, kind-hearted Carrick had no reason to refuse. So, before daily training, Chu Feng practiced taekwondo with Ibu. After daily training, he practiced long passes with Carrick. Every day is filled with meaning and fulfillment. Chu Feng's gaze fell upon the field, transporting himself into it. The match has reached the 43rd minute. It seems that Manchester United's players, influenced by Mourinho, have become less anxious. Mata received a pass from a teammate on the flank. He decisively moved inside toward the center of the field. Before the opposing defenders could get close, he passed the ball diagonally to the right flank. Valencia received the ball at the edge of the box, took 2 steps forward, and crossed from the right side of the penalty area. Football is like a brilliant rainbow, descending toward the penalty mark. Lukaku was tightly marked for most of the game, with little opportunity to touch the ball. He was extremely frustrated, and finally got a chance to vent his anger. He leaped high, pushing aside the defensive players, and swung his dark head forcefully. Bang! Swansea's goalkeeper, Fabianski, who used to be Arsenal's second goalkeeper, is known for his quick reflexes. A lightning-fast sideways save, barely managing to knock the ball over the line. Shouts of astonishment filled the Bishar Stadium. Swansea fans were terrified, and once they came to their senses, they started complaining. Admit it, you can't score. Go wherever the hell you want to go. On the field. Lukaku spat out in frustration. Every shot that should have gone in was blocked. I'm just so unlucky. Stay focused and remember the tactics we've discussed before the game, Martic loudly reminded his teammates. When 5 tall Manchester United players rushed into the penalty area, this small space instantly became chaotic, with players pushing against each other. Mourinho's preference for playing teams at high altitudes has long become a hallmark of his tactical style. As his teammates took their positions, Mata raised 3 fingers and quickly kicked a corner kick. Meanwhile, Lukaku stood near the penalty spot, jumping high once again. Due to that fierce header just now, Swansea players didn't dare to let their guard down. They stayed close to Lukaku, trying to disrupt his movements. But no one expected that the football would slide down from the sky and fly towards the back of the field. Manchester United centre-back Bailey had no one to deal with. He simply headed the ball forward, scoring a goal. Whoa! The Manchester United fans who had come along on the trip went wild, waving flags and cheering loudly to celebrate this hard-earned goal. And the once arrogant Swansea fans suddenly turned pale, closing their mouths and staying silent. On the sidelines of the field, Mourinho wore a cold smile on his lips as he glanced at the stands to the side. Due to the team's weak offensive performance last season, he developed new tactics for handling set pieces. The goal was to break the deadlock when the game became stagnant. On the other side, Bradley had a furrowed brow. Near the end of the first half, the team conceded a goal from their opponent. This not only disrupted their tactical plans but also affected the players' morale. So he gestured to the team to strengthen their defense and hold on until halftime. On the green field. What was originally an evenly matched situation has now completely turned into a one-sided battle. Manchester United, now in the ascendancy, continued to launch fierce attacks up the field. But with little time left in the first half, they failed to score again against their opponents, even when the referee blew the whistle to end the first half. Swansea players breathed a sigh of relief. Although it was only a few short minutes, it felt like an eternity to them. They wished they could press a button to speed up time. Mainly because that goal just now was too devastating, it completely demoralized them, leaving their movements awkward and uncoordinated. It's better to be behind at the start. Manchester United players walked through the players' tunnel, overjoyed with their victory. But as soon as they pushed open the door to the locker room, they heard that cold, icy voice. The smiles on their faces disappeared instantly. I'm very dissatisfied with your performance. Swansea finished 15th last season, just 3 points away from the relegation zone. But in the entire first half, over 45 minutes, we only had 6 shots on target, with 3 of those being completely harmless. Other than that, you've basically done nothing at all. After scolding them for a while, Mourinho took a sip of water from his cup and continued, in the second half, we need to strengthen our defense. Once the opponent moves forward in formation, we'll look for opportunities to launch quick counterattacks. Manchester United players quickly nodded in response, afraid that the conflict might spread to them as well. Mourinho didn't hold anyone accountable further. He simply reviewed the game, then turned to Chu Feng. When the game reaches 75 minutes, if the score remains the same, I'll bring you on as a substitute. Swansea isn't very strong defensively on the flanks. After breaking through, you need to pass the ball quickly to prevent the opponent from reorganizing their defense. Okay, coach. Chu Feng suppressed his excitement and spoke in a low voice. Although it's not a very nice thought, he still secretly hoped that the team wouldn't score any goals. That way, he'll have a chance to perform, show the results of his hard training lately, and gain more opportunities. In this regard, people are selfish, and he's no exception. Chapter 23, the first goal in the Premier League. After the second half began, the competition between the players became even more intense. Just now, Rashford carried the ball forward and was pulled down by Swansea's winger Norton. In this match, referee Bobby Madley issued only verbal warnings. As he tends to maintain the continuity and integrity of the game, he tends to be lenient in his rulings. Mourinho was so angry that his face turned red. He was extremely dissatisfied with the decision and angrily walked towards the coach's bench. "Boss, control your emotions. You can't kick anymore." Assistant coach Faria quickly picked up the water bottles scattered on the ground, stuffed them into his arms, and said nervously, "He's really scared." Last season, Mourinho was sent off by the FA for kicking a water bottle, with the FA stating that his actions could harm those around him. He was also banned from matches as a penalty. Then, during that match, I secretly went back to the stands and coach's bench. I listened to Mourinho's instructions, and then repeated them to the players. Not only did it exhaust me completely, but I also almost got caught by the referees for violating the rules, resulting in an additional suspension. Upon hearing this, Mourinho took a deep breath and glanced coldly at the field. After the halftime break, Swansea seemed to find a way to deal with Manchester United's attacks, by engaging in frequent physical confrontations. In this situation, Manchester United's attacking lineup mainly consists of Mkhitaryan, Rashford, and Mata. They played terribly, unable to execute smooth passing and cutting moves. They also failed to provide support to Lukaku, who was playing further forward. As time went on, the advantage that Manchester United had built up was gradually narrowed by their opponents. If not for Martic's excellent performance and several crucial interceptions, they might have conceded a goal from Swansea's quick counterattacks. With no other choice, Mourinho had to signal to his team to tighten up their defense, stabilize the game's pace, and then look for opportunities to attack. On the other hand, Swansea's manager Bradley seems to have learned from this experience. At the 67th minute, he replaced Nursing and Lauterbach one after another. Both players are tall, muscular players who can significantly enhance the strength of the midfield. The attacking tactics of lower-tier teams in the Premier League are quite simple. They usually play with two wings attacking simultaneously, with crosses from the flanks. So, in the 73rd minute of the match, Swansea's left-wing forward Martin received the ball in the 30-meter area and passed it diagonally at a 45-degree angle. The football spins violently as it falls toward the penalty spot. Manchester United's two centre-backs are Bailey and Phil Jones. Together with Matic, who moves back into the penalty area, they're all players over 185 centimeters in height, true air defense cannons, on the field. They didn't give Swansea's players any chance. Phil Jones easily won the ball and headed it away. Pogba controlled the ball at the 2-point mark, then turned half-turn and passed it to the left flank. Rashford broke through Norton's defense with a combination of stops and dribbles, but was then brought down by Mesa, who was covering from the side. Beautiful breakthrough. Ugh, Swansea's players are really decisive in their actions. If this ball isn't dealt now, it won't make any sense. No problem, Mesa has received a yellow card. Overall, though, Swansea still came out on top. If Manchester United were to launch counterattacks, it would be easy for them to break through Swansea's defensive lines. Gee, is Mourinho going to make any substitutions? John June immediately perked up. He wasn't a Manchester United fan at all. To be able to commentate on this match, he even exchanged shifts with his colleague. The purpose was to see Chu Feng, but after waiting for most of the match, nothing happened. According to Mourinho's tendency to maintain a balance between offense and defense, it's likely that Chu Feng and Fellaini will be substituted in, turning the team's formation into a 4-3-3. But this tactical model, originally designed for ball control, was transformed by that madman into a blueprint for launching aerial attacks. Jean Jun yawned, with dark circles under his eyes. To thoroughly understand Manchester United's tactical system, he went days and nights without getting proper sleep. By the side of the court. Remember what I said, don't be too nervous. Just show who you are. Mourinho patted Chu Feng on the shoulder, his eyes filled with anticipation. After training every day, two people always stayed behind to practice long pass techniques. He saw it all with his own eyes. Although it might not yield results in the short term, in his carefully devised, giant tactics, the most important thing is for the flank players to break through and pass the ball into the penalty area. Precision in passing isn't required. Chu Feng repeated those words in his mind. After high-fiving and hugging Rashford, he quickly ran to his own position. Rashford turned to look at that familiar figure, feeling a mix of emotions in his heart. There was joy at having good friends who performed well, but also disappointment at being replaced at the last minute. Suddenly, he felt warmth on his shoulders, and Mourinho's voice echoed in his ears. If you only compete with the weak, you'll never become strong. Rashford thought carefully about these words, his conviction growing stronger. He silently added one more sentence to his thoughts. True strong people fear no competition. The game continues. With less than 13 minutes left in the match, Swansea launched frantic attacks from the right flank. Facing Norton, who was carrying the ball forward, Chu Feng quickly glanced behind him and saw that someone had taken his position. He immediately rushed forward to block Norton. His idea is very simple. If you gain control of the ball, you can launch an immediate counterattack from that spot, creating a great opportunity to score. But Norton played very carefully, passing the ball sideways to his teammate Messi, who was in the middle of the field. The latter then moved the ball behind Chu Feng, completing a simple wall pass combination. Ibrahimović has great ball awareness and pushed the ball forward in advance. Although he's a direct disciple of Van Gaal, he's not very tall, not particularly strong, and doesn't have great speed either. But with exceptional ball control, accurate passing, and versatility as a player. Not only was he not dismissed by Mourinho, but he actually played an important role in Manchester United's rotation strategy. Blind, beautiful. Snatched the football from Norton's feet with a quick, decisive move. Should we get Chu Feng who's in front of us? No, pass it diagonally. Find Messi's mother. Jean Jun speaks at a speed so fast it's like a machine gun, leaving people barely able to keep up. Amid the cheers of Manchester United fans, Mkhitaryan moved back and forth, achieving terrifying speeds as he rushed toward the baseline. Manchester United's blitz tactics. When Mkhitaryan reached the right side of the penalty area, Jean Jun's voice became excited. The nerves of countless fans were on edge. From their godlike perspective, Manchester United's counterattacks were executed perfectly. Lukaku rushed straight into the penalty area, pressing Swansea's defense and creating space for his teammates behind him. Pogba and Matic moved forward in the middle to cut off the opponent's passes and provide defensive support. Chu Feng deliberately avoided the defensive players and took position on the left side of the penalty area. Facing Swan's midfielder Martin's fierce interception, Mkhitaryan was quick-witted and made a decisive pass. Snap! The football passed under Martin's legs and rolled towards the middle of the field. Swansea players quickly changed direction and rushed towards Matic. But the latter simply made a catching motion, before letting the ball slip behind him. Pogba adjusts his stance and shoots angrily. Football is like a cannonball being fired from a gun. Fabianski reacted quickly, making another world-class save. But due to Pogba's excessive shooting power, he failed to hold on to the ball, resulting in a missed catch. The area inside the forbidden zone immediately became chaotic. Lukaku stretched out his dark, hairy thighs and thrust forward with force. Fabianski gets up and makes another save. The football hit his forearm and spun towards the left side of the penalty area. Suddenly, the figure of Manchester United's player number 23 appeared on the screen. Opportunities. Chu Feng slightly raised his right leg, preparing to shoot. Swansea defender Merson's expression changed dramatically as he quickly rushed to block the shot. He no longer cared whether his opponent was feinting or not. Since Fabianski was still near the right post, the team's own goal was completely unprotected. This young player isn't very experienced. Faced with such a great opportunity, he'll surely get carried away and shoot without thinking. That's how Merson comforted himself. But the next second, his expression froze. In despair, he watched as Chu Feng passed by him and scored the goal. It turned out to be a fake shot. Chapter 24, Keep Working Hard. 0:2. After several seconds of silence at the Baisher Stadium, deafening cheers erupted. Chu Feng seemed unable to hear anything. All he could see were the footballs that kept rolling around in his eyes. After it crossed the goal line, an indescribable sense of pleasure surged from his coccyx, nearly overwhelming his sanity. So, he used running to vent the emotions in his heart. The Manchester United fans who were on the expedition noticed that the young boy with dark hair was running towards the stands, waving his arms along the way. They exchanged glances, and simultaneously gave warm applause and words of encouragement. Beautiful. Your amazing moves are simply irresistible. I remember you, young man from Huaxiao. You scored an assist in the last game. One of the fans beat the drum loudly and shouted, "One more." Under his leadership, the fans in the away stands chanted in unison, matching the rhythm of the drums. One more. Just one more. Another one. Chu Feng smiled brightly as he heard the cheers around him. Before he could even think of any sentimental thoughts, he suddenly felt as though he had been hit by a rhinoceros, almost causing him to fall to the ground. Looking back, Lukaku showed his snow-white teeth and gave him a hard slap on the back. Chu, well done. If it were me, I'd probably just shoot directly. Chu Feng took a sharp breath in, trying hard to resist the urge to smash that big salted egg. Mourinho, who witnessed the entire goal from the sidelines, couldn't help but hug Faria and celebrate with him, discussing the goal. Boss, in just a few dozen days, Chu's technical skills seem to have improved again. That fake shooting motion was incredibly realistic. You're focusing on the wrong thing. While his final touch was great, what really mattered was his movement earlier in the play. He managed to avoid Swansea's defensive strongholds in advance, and when Pogba took a shot, he quickly moved into the penalty area to wait for a chance to score. He has a very keen sense of smell. Shouldn't we consider letting him start the game? Let's wait a little longer. Give him some more time. Mourinho shook his head and rejected Faria's suggestion. Marcus Rashford's ability to move without the ball and make quick sprints is essential for Manchester United to dominate the early stages of matches. If he hadn't continuously attacked Swansea's defense during the first 70 minutes, it wouldn't have been so easy for Chu Feng to score a goal. Moreover, since we're still in the early stages of the season, all the top teams in the Premier League are doing their utmost to gain as many points as possible and widen the gap between themselves and their rivals. His goal is to win the league championship, and no risks are allowed. If Chu Feng wants to start the game, his current level of performance is far from sufficient. Mourinho continued to focus his attention on the field. He had no idea that this seemingly simple goal would cause such a stir in China. Le Sport's live streaming room. Fake shot. Dial again. Push the shot through the empty gate. Jay's ball went in. Congratulations, Chu Feng. Not only did he score his first goal in the top 5 leagues during his career, but he also broke the record for Chinese players scoring in the Premier League, a record that hadn't been broken in 10 years. This is a night worth remembering. Football fans, can you hold on? Jean Jun's passionate voice brought the audience into the atmosphere of the game. Meanwhile, it was deep night in China. Due to Chu Feng's excellent performance in the previous match, many fans stayed up late to watch the game. But as the situation became more and more boring, they were already fast asleep. Suddenly awakened by Jean Jun's loud shout, I jumped in fright. I almost got hit in the face by my own phone that fell from my hand. Once he realized what was happening, he quickly dragged the progress bar backward. Immediately, he saw the scene he'd longed for. Then people started flooding the screen with messages, using bullet screens to express their excitement. Wow! That feint is absolutely elegant. Who says Chinese players don't dare to make bold moves? Tonight's late-night stay wasn't in vain. Can Bird Uncle get Chu Feng to start the game? It's not satisfying at all. It's probably tough right now, but the future looks promising. While the fans were enthusiastically discussing the situation, the game had already resumed. With a 2-goal lead, Man United didn't retreat defensively. Instead, they pushed their entire formation forward. Because Mourinho knew very well that he couldn't allow space in the middle of the field, giving the opponent the opportunity to play long passes. What if Swansea is lucky and scores a goal? Minute 82 of the match. Both teams made substitutions at the same time. Swansea replaced Abraham with McBurney, while Manchester United replaced Mkhitaryan with Herrera. The former focuses on strengthening attacks, while the latter focuses on enhancing defenses. Players from both sides continued to engage in fierce close-quarters combat in the midfield. But with high morale, Manchester United quickly took control of the game. After regaining possession, they advanced forward swiftly. The match has turned into a trench warfare situation, but Manchester United hasn't given up on attacking. Mourinho's crucial substitutions freed up Pogba by bringing in Herrera. Pogba could then focus on organizing the attack, significantly increasing Manchester United's offensive threat. Come and take a look at this ball. Chu Feng received a pass from Matic on the left flank. He quickly looked up, then accelerated and broke through the defense. Although his absolute speed isn't very fast, he still has a significant advantage over Norton, who gets completely exhausted while trying to defend against Rashford. Norton gritted his teeth and turned around to chase after them. But he didn't expect Chu Feng to suddenly come to a stop, knocking him forward. Chu Feng slightly adjusted his stance, took advantage of the resulting space, and kicked the football hard with his right foot at its center. Snap! With a crisp sound. The football spins violently, tracing a slight arc as it falls toward the edge of the penalty area. Lukaku was fully prepared. He held off 2 defenders single-handedly, then headed the ball back with his back to the goal. Pogba broke through quickly from the back line. Facing his teammate who was acting as a gunner, he swung his right leg high into the air. Bang! A powerful shot with great force sent the football straight toward the top right corner of the goal, from an extremely difficult angle. Fabianski could only make a symbolic save, before collapsing helplessly on the grass. 0:3. Pogba held back throughout the match, and released all his energy through this goal. He celebrated with a joyful sliding dive. Chu Feng walked over slowly, hugged and high-fived his teammates. But deep down, he felt a bit regretful. If you can maintain balance on both feet, you can simply move directly to the bottom when breaking through Norton. This saves a lot of time compared to adjusting to the right foot first. Moreover, the cross shot just now was of average quality. It was mainly Lukaku who did the heavy lifting. It seems that I need to strengthen training for kicking with the opposite foot in the future. He suddenly remembered the compilation of Dallow's dribbling skills he had watched a few days ago. His dribbling, pace, and ability to get past opponents were all beyond imagination. And both the left and right feet can be used for dribbling. Even with systematic guidance, he still has a very long way to go before he can reach the level of a great Luo. You must work hard. The rest of the match was completely one-sided. Manchester United exploited their opponent's weaknesses on the right flank, frequently passing the ball to Chu Feng. Chu Feng used his dribbling skills to get into the opponent's penalty area, where Manchester United's tall players could head the ball into the net. Norton couldn't complain about his hardships, he felt so exhausted that he was on the verge of cramping. But their team's substitution quota had already been used up. He could only work together with his teammates to defend against Chu Feng's attacks. As time passes by. Ultimately. Beep beep beep. The referee blew the whistle to signal the end of the game. Swansea 0-3 Manchester United.